How's it going, guys? Welcome to the
hello.
Amiga special of Micromaniacs. I probably should say right now that we are one man short because he's had a family emergency, so Chef won't be on here unless he ends up joining later, but I think that's probably unlikely. So before I say any more, I've just got to show this.
Smile, you son of a bitch!
It's my Halloween costume, that is.
When I saw you wear that the other night, I thought I know exactly what I'm doing with that. And then I just snip that bit out of Jaws when he shoots the shark at the end. But how is everybody?
Very well. Very good.
Yeah, I'm good, man. Yeah. Middle of the week. Hump day, as they call it. Is it Wednesday's hump day? So, yeah, getting over that.
Yeah.
Not for you, Lily, because you've been just putting your feet up all week, haven't you? So,
well, if you mean off work, yeah, I don't know about putting my feet up. That's the thing, isn't it? Like you never end up doing that, do you? Like the missus finds things for you to do. I've had like a list today. So,
yeah, and end up working harder if staying at home as if you do go to work. Do you know what I mean? It's yeah, much easier to go to work. Yeah,
quieter too.
Yeah.
And when you consider I do security, that's quite a thing. So,
unless you're like me and this is the same place I'm at work. This is work and play. This is all in one place.
Yeah, all right, rub it in. Jesus Christ. If I had my way, I'd love to do what you do, Martin. Just stay there all the time. I mean, even when you have to go anywhere, it's like, oh, I've got to go Google today. It's like, don't sound so pissed off about it. You're only going to Google, right?
Yeah, it's not hard. It's not hard.
Is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we've got a few comments. Most of them looks like they're from Tetley. This is weird, actually. Like, I don't know what's going on with YouTube at the moment. I've noticed that views are down on everything just of late. And it's not just me who's noticed it. Loads of other people I know are saying it. And even with this tonight, normally we have way more people than this watching. This is very strange.
It's a good first comment.
Nice.
That might be Wiley. You're getting tagged with terrible language.
You know what? I'm quite surprised at Tetley. He's not normally like this, is he? I bet he's had a drink, hasn't he?
He's on the sauce.
Yeah. What? I don't know about this guy. This guy can get lost.
Yeah.
Wrong on this one.
I had to keep him entertained because you were so lately. That's what
oh, he has put what?
Yeah.
No, but Chef isn't in the house though, unfortunately.
No, hopefully everything's all right with him.
Yeah. It's Tetley again. I've made a cup. Well, obviously with a name like Tetley, yeah. This far behind. God, we weren't that far off, was we? How late was we? Couple of minutes?
Yeah, I reckon 4 minutes max. 4 minutes.
Technical difficulties, Tetley.
Yeah, my bad. I'll put my hands up. My bad.
There's technical difficulties. It's always the same, though, to be honest, when you go live. I've had it. Like, how many times, Martin, have I been screaming down on WhatsApp to you going, my bloody laptop won't work? Like, for some reason, my laptop, basically, when I'm doing a stream, I have to turn it on at least 12 hours beforehand because it will decide to just start doing updates otherwise.
Yeah.
And then it won't let you do anything. So, yeah, it's a nightmare.
You need to build that awesome PC you've been talking about.
Yes. Yeah, I've got half the money put aside for it. I've just got it's finding the money. It's the trouble. I've got Connor's birthday next month, then Christmas. No money.
You should build him an awesome PC for both birthday and Christmas. I see.
No, because then I'd never get on it. Like, that's for me. Yeah. Right. Should we get started then? Let's get into our first topic. I thought this one was a sensible one to pick. What was your introduction to the Amiga, Martin?
Yeah, okay. So most people know that I grew up with Commodore. Obviously, my first ever sort of computer. If I don't count the ZX81 because that was my dad's, but then my brother and I had the Commodore 16 and then the Commodore 64, and I've told that story many times. But when I moved, I was born in a place called Northampton, which is kind of like, I don't know, middle of the country or whatever. And we moved down to Kent. And when we moved down to Kent, I made a friend who lived a few doors away. And I was probably, what would I have been then? Sort of 8 or 9. And I used to go around his house to play, and he had an Amiga 500. So my first experience of playing the Amiga 500 was going to a friend's house, and I used to go there like every day after school because both my parents worked at the time. So I'd get home and there would be no one home. Like I'd let myself in. I used to let myself in through the dog flap in the house. That's how I used to get into the house because I didn't have keys. So I used to climb through the dog flap to get in.
How big was the dog flap? Like,
dog flaps are pretty big. Well, whoa, what are we trying to say? I mean, I was not like.
Well, I'm guessing it went the size of a cat flap. That's what I'm getting at.
So yeah, pretty big, you know, for a dog to get through. So then I used to ring him and then go straight to his house, and that used to be like my after school club. Basically, was going around his house every day, and he had the Amiga 500. We used to play. The one thing I will say as a mate, and we're going to get into all this stuff later on, is the amount of local co-op games are on the Amiga. It's just a fantastic system for playing side by side, you know, 2 joysticks plugged in, playing all of the myriad of games it's got. So we did that for a number of years. And then when we hit 11, he was actually 1 year older than me, so like only by a few months. You know how school years work. Like if you're born in I was born in October, I think he was like an April or something, or June birthday, so he was technically a school year older than me.
Yeah.
So when we hit secondary school, he went to a different secondary school than I did, and we kind of like split apart then. We didn't see as much. I didn't go around his house every day. But that's when I was 11, that's when the Amiga 1200 released. So that was I think it was October time, October, whatever year it was, and I got the Amiga 1200 for that Christmas. So then I had that, and that was me upgrading from the Commodore 64 to the Amiga 1200. So I skipped personally owning a 500. I never actually owned one, and went straight to the 1200. And then weirdly, my nan got an Amiga 600 when they came out. So I had an Amiga 1200 at home and then an Amiga 600 at my nan's house when I used to go and stay there that my cousin had.
Oh, mate, you had it all right, didn't you?
Yeah.
Most people only have one.
Yeah. So, yeah, when I got that, I mean, going from the Commodore 64 to the Amiga 1200 was a significant jump. And yeah, so I had that for years. Absolutely enjoyed the hell out of it. And yeah, I mean, sadly, obviously, I never owned anything that came after that. So I never had a CD32 or the CD-TV and those sorts of things. When the Amiga died eventually, I then went straight into PC from that. So I think I had a 386, a 486, and then obviously into the continuation of those systems. But yeah, so for that sort of years of between sort of 8 and 11, it was all on the 500. Then from 11 probably to I was like 14, 15, I imagine, it was all on the 1200. So yeah, great days. This joystick I used to take to my friend's house every day. This is why I love these joysticks. It has to be a pastel colored cruiser. I own 6 of them.
I was about to say, how many do you have now? Because you buy every one you see, don't you?
Yeah, so I've got 6 of these, and what I use, if I buy other ones, I tend to take the guts out and replace these ones with them because I want to keep these going as long as possible. So yeah, that's yeah, and the other joystick is my Terminator head up there. So that's another joystick that I used to take to his house every day.
Nice.
But yeah, there you go. That's my little Amiga story. It's a system that's very near and dear to my heart because, like I say, it was something that I played every single day without fail.
Nice,
Yeah.
Nice. I can't believe you had 2 Amigas though. Like, most people are lucky to have one, aren't they?
That's it. Yeah, no, it sounds nice. So what did you do with the A1200? Did you because I mean my memories with the A1200 was just, I don't know, a lot of things was incompatible when my friend got an A1200. So basically when I grew up with the Batman pack, so I had a lot of the games, I mean sort of the late 80s games. And you put straight into 1200 and just Guru Meditation signs up everywhere because just nothing old was compatible with it.
Yeah, maybe I didn't notice that much. But Yeah, maybe I've kind of blocked that from my memory, but I don't remember having that many issues. But then I probably was running a lot of AGA games at the time and getting disc copies of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. You probably are right, but I don't. It doesn't stick in my mind that I had many problems with it. I remember just absolutely loving it, you know. And
Yeah, I just never grew up with an A1200. It was just the fact that my friend, a good friend of mine, he actually got burgled, and he got burgled. So his A500 was stolen, and the insurance didn't pay out, but they gave him replacement, and the 500 was out of circulation.
Nice.
So he got 1200 out of it, and it was like, yeah, we was all excited to give it a go. But just the amount of his existing games and games I was bringing around, because we used to play, because we had it for so long, yeah, it was just a lot of incompatibilities. Because I always remember when we upgraded to the 500 plus, and it was exactly the same. Again, a lot of incompatibilities. But I don't know if you guys remember the reload kick system, where you could obviously put the disc in and it downgrades the ROMs. And it worked perfect for the 500 plus and the 600, but never was that good with the 12.
I mean, it makes sense, but I
don't
definitely don't remember
that.
being an issue. Yeah,
I don't remember that real kick system. Like, when was that?
It was actually a magazine disc. It was a magazine disc, called Reload Kick, and it basically just downgrades the ROMs and pretty much makes it like running 1.3 ROMs that obviously a standard 500 would have had.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, because funnily enough, I mean, I'm guessing you guys, what's his bloody name on YouTube now? Flashback TNT.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you watch his stuff, and I remember selling him quite a few games. I probably sold him about 8 games, decent A500 games, and he was doing a video. He was doing a live video, not live video, but he done a video showing his pickups, and obviously mentioned my name, and he was loading the games as he was doing the video, and the amount of issues he was having, I thought, bloody hell, you're making me look quite bad here. I said to him, like, send them all back to me, and I put them all in my A500, and they was all booting straight away, because I knew he grew up with a 500 plus, and I knew that's what he had. And I literally done like a video, just let it run. I was like, this one works, this one works, this one works. Got my because I've got quite a few Amigas up in the loft. I got 500 plus down, tried it on that. Not booting. Got reload kick.
Okay.
Got reload kick out, put it in, obviously downgraded it, tried the game, absolutely fine. So I just sent him a copy with that, and he was happy as Larry. But it just made me laugh how he was trying live. Oh, bloody hell, like, this isn't, my name's not going to be very good there. You know what I mean?
It's really interesting that this has come up. It's really interesting this has come up because I have had quite a few issues with discs in the past, and now I know they do suffer, so there are issues with Amiga discs for sure. But I must admit, 9 times out of 10, I'm trying it on an Amiga 1200 and not a 600 or a 500, and I wonder if some of the misloads or issues I've had have not just been because of discs being bad. That's actually just not loading.
Usually you can tell a bad disc a mile off. One, you'll get screeching noise. That's when the disc is absolutely knackered because it starts delaminating, just chuck them away, like knackered. But you'll also get when you can hear it's actually trying to load, and then it will just say disk unreadable. So that's when you usually know that a disc is bad. If you get the Guru meditation, that is usually incompatibilities. And don't get me wrong, the reload kick's not very good with the 1200, but for the 500 plus and the 600,
well, Amiga Old School's put a comment in there. Look, if you look, Lee, about turning down the CPU caches by pressing F1 and reload kick with 1.4, and so it might be worth. I'll have to have a look and do some feedback on it.
I'll be honest, I totally forgot about the chat because I was too busy listening to what you guys were saying. I totally forgot that, and the fact that I've been very conscious of the dog trying to get out. I was trying to get the missus to.
It's all right, mate. I'm a professional. I'll keep you going. Don't worry.
Amiga Old School knows his stuff. He's very good with things like Workbench, whereas I'm just a gamer. I just want to put a disc in and play. But he's very good with the operating system.
Oh yeah.
I've been forcing myself to learn. Well, obviously, I used to be able to use it quite a bit, but when you haven't touched an OS for 20 years, it's a bit difficult. So,
Workbench in the arse, absolute pain in the arse.
Literally today, I was trying to just copy some files over, so I was using the file manager tool in there, and it's like a lot of, like, you become so used to be able to just drag and drop things or changing drives, and in this, it's a lot more click this, then click that to change drive, and then click here, and it's just getting back into the swing of the conveniences that Windows has. Although you can obviously see a lot of inspiration from what Workbench is to what these modern operating systems is, for sure. But yeah, it's nice to go back and revisit them. But that's interesting. That's a really didn't think I would learn something tonight, but there we go. I'm definitely going to think about hooking up another system to check some of those discs that I've had issues with.
I'll be honest. I did know there were compatibility issues, but the thing is, I had a 500 plus at one stage and a 1200 shortly after. Now I never had any issues, but that's because of who I got it from, which is my uncle. So anything I would have got off of him would have been compatible because it was coming from him.
Yeah.
So I always heard there were issues, but never encountered them myself. So yeah, I didn't think of that, Martin. When you were saying this stuff wasn't working, it didn't occur to me that it might be a compatibility issue. That's true. It could be, couldn't it? Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed for my £80 copy of Pang. Then let's see if that's
yeah, that wasn't a cheap one, was it?
I'm trying to think if that was one I sold to Flashback TNT that he had issues with. I mean, Pang. I mean, what was that? That would have been 1991.
Yeah.
Too many issues with it, if I'm honest. On a 500 plus at least. Don't know. I might. I'll tell. I mean, I've got Pang. I'll try it on my 1200. See if it boots.
Yeah. So, Steve, what was your introduction to the Amiga?
Not as exciting as Martin's, really. See, I mean, I don't know how old you guys are, but I mean, I've literally turned 40 this year, so I was quite young when we got our first Amiga, and I've got vivid memories. I've got very vivid memories of when we grabbed it. I remember we was at, I can't remember where it was, but we was at an Amiga show, and it was the Batman pack we picked up. And I always remember driving home and being pretty excited, but I would have only been 6. I would have been like 6 years old. And but I remember playing it all. I remember we would have got New Zealand Story with it. Obviously, Batman the movie, Interceptor, that a lot of Amiga fans love. I was just too young for it. I mean, it's a flight sim. I was never into flight sims, so I was just too young. I just didn't understand them. But I remember my brother absolutely.
It is a great game. Once you get to all the controls and everything, it's a great game.
As I say, it's just one of those that, as I say, I would have been 6 or 7 when we got it. It was far too complicated for me at that age, and going back to a game like that, I mean, it wouldn't be easy, would it? Do you know what I mean? The fact you haven't got much nostalgia about it. Yeah, I think I'd find it tough going back. Things like Elite 2 as well. Again, it was far too complicated for me, and I struggle going back to anything like that. But yeah, as I say, I would have been 6 or 7 when we got it. I loved it. I fell in love straight away. I remember the first one got a virus and died on us, and I still don't really know how that happened. And that was when I got a 500. I had the best Christmas ever, because I say we had that between 89 and 91, and I remember it died. And then Christmas, it was either Christmas of 91 or Christmas of 92. I got the 500 plus for myself for Christmas, because basically the 500, it wasn't mine. It was sort of the family's. It was my dad. But yeah, the 500 plus was bought for me. And I remember I got this massive Scalextric set as well that Christmas. It was just like the best Christmas. And that was the Cartoons Classics pack, the 500 plus. So obviously Lemmings, introduced to Lemmings.
Yeah, great game.
I mean, I even got into Captain Planet. Shocking game, but I got into. I don't know how, but it was free with it.
Because you played what you had. You didn't have a choice.
Exactly that. So yeah, I enjoyed it. And then, as I say, after that, my friend got a 1200. I never got a 1200. But then another friend got a CD32, so I had a bit of exposure to that as well. Again, pretty dreadful. Because by sort of that time, like Martin, I was onto PCs pretty much by then. Because I think the only Amiga games I was probably playing sort of 95, 96 was probably Sensible World of Soccer and Championship Manager. I don't think I would have been playing much else for a great amount of time.
Interesting. It's a topic that's related to that, isn't there, Martin? Later on, speaking of sensible soccer.
Yeah.
Well, see, my introduction to the Amiga, funnily enough, wasn't actually mine. It was a friend of mine's up the road. So money was tight in my house. But, a friend of mine up the road, he always had everything that was new, pretty much. And he just upgraded it from an Amstrad CPC 464 to an Amiga 500. So I remember spending a lot of the summer holidays around his place playing Golden Axe, IK Plus, X Out, Shadow of the Beast.
Just to pick you up on that, Lee, you know that's cross out, right?
Oh, is it cross out? Is it?
It's cross out. Yeah, it's cross out. Go on.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
But yeah, what else was it we was playing? I forget now. There was another game we used to play. I mean, Golden Axe was one that we played a lot. There was a lot of Kickoff too as well. And then it wasn't long after that I got my Commodore 64, so I was a bit behind, you know. But later down the line, my uncle had upgraded to an Amiga 1200, so he gave us his 500 plus. And that was around the time that I had a Mega Drive as well. So I got that. And later, when he then was moving to the States, he gave us his 1200. So
nice.
The worst part is I never know what happened to them. I'm pretty certain they ended up in the charity shop. I don't know for sure because I moved out and I just know that they disappeared from my mum's. So, yeah.
Well, I've got a terrible story about that, Lee. So, obviously, I've got back into. I mean, I've always been into computing, but I got back into retro gaming probably like 2017, 18. After I built the lodge and did all of that, I was like, so I talked to my dad, and I said to him, "Oh, I'd love to get an Amiga back, you know." And my dad went, "Oh, you should have said I had 2 Amiga 1200s in the loft. I threw them in the skip a little while ago."
Oh God!
And 2 Amiga 1200s that he threw away. And I was like, "Dad, don't tell me that. I'd rather you hadn't said anything, to be honest."
Yeah.
Especially the issues I had getting hold of one in the end and how much money I paid out to get a solid one. It was to hear that he'd thrown 2 away was not good news.
You definitely had a nightmare there, yeah. When you picked up that 1200, Christ. Because the first one you got didn't work, wasn't it, if I remember right?
I've had 2 500s that I could never get going, and then this 1200 I went all out and got one that had been done up by somebody, so it's all singing, all dancing with all the like I just went at the end of it, I just bit the bullet and just went, right, I'll get one that's been all modded and capped and all sorted out. So but the 500 I've never had a working 500, which you'd think it would be the easiest one to have, but
100%, yeah, and probably the most reliable.
Yeah. So
to be honest, I don't think I've ever got a 500 that didn't work. Like,
well, that's how lucky I was.
Yeah. You haven't still got them, no?
No, well, actually, Lee's got one of them now. One of them was
about to say that. Yeah, the reason I've got an Amiga now is because of Martin.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the disk drive had failed though, isn't it? So you replaced it with a Gotek on that one.
Yeah, it's got a Gotek driver in it. Yeah, it's not.
But I mean, that's the way to go. I think these days, anyway, isn't it? So. Yeah. It's nice, and one thing I like about it, because I've got an Amiga Mini as well. I'm not going to lie, I've got a Mini as well, and they're not too bad. But things like Chaos Engine and that with that stupid Amiga pad, I mean, you can't beat a joystick on the Amiga. It's the proper Amiga, you know.
Yeah. Chaos
Engine's so much better on the real thing. You can't beat it.
No, I agree.
800 quid today's price straight in the bin. Whoa, there you go, Martin. So how many did you throw through? Well, yeah, not good.
Nightmare.
I'm sure there's many around the country that have ended up in bins, isn't there? So,
that's it. Nice, a bit of a shock there, but let's say you got them back now, so it's all good.
Yeah, I would be interested. Maybe I'll come to you if you've got loads in the loft, Steve. Maybe I'll come to you for an Amiga 500.
Ridiculous amount. I mean, I'm not even going to joke, but I use a 500 as almost like my everyday Amiga because I still like loading from floppies. I think half of the novelty is just if they're still going to work, like listening to some load. I mean,
like Russian roulette sort of thing.
That's it. Yeah, exactly that. Just something about it. There's just something about it, because when you use 1200, obviously you can set them all up. So you're loading off like a CF card. So it's all loading off that drive. But they load a bit quicker. You don't get the loading noises. Same as the GoTech, really. The GoTech will obviously load them at normal speed, but you can get the GoTechs with the buzzers, but they're never as loud. And yeah, I don't know. I think the novelty is, as I say, just loading them off the floppies. But I say my everyday Amiga 500, I'm looking to sort of replace, because I've actually got a CD TV. I've had one for years, but they're sort of 2.0 ROMs as standard. And again, I'm getting a lot of incompatibilities. So I would rather, I've actually sent it away to get a couple of little mods on there, so I can actually swap the ROMs, like switch ROMs on the fly, because I do want that to be my everyday sort of Amiga 500. So I'll keep in mind, Martin. I'll definitely have one coming up for sale. So I know I've got an extra one in the loft, and that's my everyday one. So once I replace that one, I'm going to have one at my disposal. So I'll let you know, because I don't know, I just find it the most reliable Amiga. Do you know what I mean? If you're loading the older software, obviously it's not going to load anything AGA or anything that needs more than a meg RAM, because I mean nearly every 500 has got the extra half a meg RAM to take it up to 1 meg, and it will load anything apart from, as I say, anything that needs more than that 1 meg, which I don't really know how much today is worth still playing. I don't know. A lot of the AGA games, have they aged that well? I'm not sure.
Just trying to think now.
There are some, but not there are. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Degeneration, that would probably be an AGA, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the homebrew scene's got quite a lot of AGA based games. Yeah. So if you want to play like modern games, then you probably having the extra memory, even the extra processing power that obviously comes with some of the upgrade cards as well, and the fact that it's AGA chipset, that will benefit you. But if you're just sticking with, let's face it, if you're going to be playing the top 100 Amiga games, then they're all going to run on a standard spec A500, right? Let's be honest.
Probably, yeah.
Well, it's funny, you might be missing. So I think on supercars, the AGA version, they're not all red. They're like different color cars and that on the AGA version, but not like I mean, is that really going to change the game? Not really. It's an awesome game.
I always found, because I've got a few copies of both, like the standard versions and AGA, and a lot of the differences are very minor, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Very minor. Yeah. Again, maybe it's just my sort of nostalgia specs, because obviously I never had a 1200 back in the day. And when I load the software, I use software that I played back in the day, so I'm not really looking for that upgrade. But don't get me wrong, I know that there's some nice touches. I mean, the AGA version of Speedball 2 looks quite nice. Obviously, it never got a floppy release; it was only on the CD32. But yeah, there's not many. If you was to ask me, right, you can have any Amiga you want, what would it be? I would literally stick with a vanilla 500. I really would. But that's just me.
Well, see, I'd like to say mine's a vanilla. I'd like to say mine's a vanilla 500, but mine's not vanilla, is it?
The thing I would say this day is I would get an Amiga 600 if someone asked me if you could get one, I'd get the Amiga 600, just because today it's just the size of it. It's fantastic. Like, you don't miss the numpad in this day and age, frankly, and it is just as. Yeah, everything's compatible with it. It works, and it's a really nice little computer, frankly, the A600. I know back in the day it flopped massively, but in today's age, I think it's actually probably a really nice little machine.
I quite like the 600, to be honest. I grew up with the 500 plus, and basically, it's all the 600 is a reduced 500 plus with a few extras that the A1200 had. Again, a few incompatibilities, but Relokick sorted them all out on the 500 plus and the 600, so that'll work. And it doesn't have batteries on the motherboard that are killing themselves. So no, can't discuss that again. I've got a 600 in the loft. I won't get rid of it. It's a lovely little machine.
Yeah,
definitely number one, but I do like it.
Your 600, Martin. Your one's like modded up quite a bit, though, isn't it?
So that one, I keep pointing to the right place. That one there, it's got has got a GoTech drive in it, but only because I didn't have a working floppy. I actually don't need the GoTech drive anymore, because it's got because that's the nice thing about the 600 is it's got the the IDE port. I don't know if it's IDE. Is it IDE or is it a different interface? So it's still an IDE port. So it's got the hard drive in it. So it boots into Workbench, and you can then run everything. It's got a CF card. You can load stuff from Windows to Workbench really easily. So I'm probably going to take out the GoTech drive and put a floppy back in, because it's always nice to have the floppy option.
Yeah, well, the thing is, again, I don't know if you guys know, but on a 500, I don't know how easy it is to do on other models, but on a 500, basically, the Amiga will always look to boot from DF0, which is obviously the internal floppy. But with the 500, you could do an easy little. It's literally just a chip that piggybacks another one. So you obviously take it apart, put the chip in, put the I don't know what chip it is, but you put it back in the top. And basically off that chip comes a little switch, and basically what you can do, you can switch. That will switch between DF0 and DF1. So obviously on the 500 you've got the external drive port.
Yeah.
So the way I've got my one set up, obviously the internal port, the internal drive stays there that I can boot from. Literally a flick of a switch, I can boot from an external drive that houses a GoTech, and it's just a lot cleaner way of doing it. So you don't have to. Do you know what I mean? You keep your internal floppy. And you can also put some GoTech.
Okay.
Is that external? Is that what you've done with one of yours?
No, this is the CD. Drive. I didn't know this. I only found this out today. This is the CDTV floppy drive. That's
lovely. That is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you was talking about that in the micros group earlier, weren't you?
Yeah. So that's what I'd probably like to do with that, is potentially be able to just hook that in, because I've tested it on my 600, and in Workbench it detects it, and I can load discs from Workbench, but I can't get it to boot from it. So I can't have this as the. But that's probably what I need to do, is what you just said there. Is the
it's called a boot selector.
Yeah, because obviously this comes up as DF1, and it only so it only boots from DF0.
So just a boot selector again, like on the 500, and it is literally just taking out a chip, putting that in, putting the chip back on top of it, and just usually just route the switch in the trapdoor, and you could literally just switch between on the fly, and it just means I can keep the internal floppy. And what I've done is have a GoTech within an external drive housing. In fact, I think I've got it. Here.
Yeah. Interestingly, whilst you're getting that out, I could see again Amiga Old School has said about holding down both mouse, but you can see I've done this. You can hold down both mouse buttons and get to a boot selector, but I still can't get it to boot from DF. Even if I deselect everything and I only select DF1, still for some reason games don't want to boot. They almost don't accept the fact that it always seems to go back to checking DF0 and then just boots up into Workbench. So I have tried that boot
selector. Just do a bit of research into boot selector. I know the 500 ones, they're literally like £15, like they're not expensive, and you can literally just switch between internal and the external drive ports, and it works great. It's just nice when, because what I've done before, if I can find the proper image on floppies, if a floppy does go bad, or if the program gets corrupted on a floppy, I can then literally just copy it from the GoTech back onto the original floppy if the floppy's still okay. It works for me. It's really nice bit of kit.
Cool. Well, the nice thing about the portable GoTech is that if you've got loads and loads of Amigas, you can now just take it to any one of them rather than having one in each of you, because obviously that gets very expensive.
That's a good point. Yeah, that is a good point.
So that is the alternative I might do with this, is I could obviously just take the floppy disk out and put a GoTech drive in there, and then this would do exactly the same.
Don't do that with that drive.
No, exactly. So I'm told this is quite a rare drive. So it's
So I'm wondering, like, that being a rare drive, I mean, what's something like that worth these days?
I reckon about a ton between a ton.
Yeah, I've seen them on eBay between 100. I think didn't Sire send one today? Last sold for like 160 quid or something. So
wow,
I'll swap it for an Amiga 500, Steve. Right?
Maybe I might take it, because I do own one of those, because I've got a CD TV, but Yeah, so I might just plug it in the back and daisy chain it. Have 2 drives.
Right, you've been told here by Amiga Old School, don't destroy that drive.
I promise I won't. I promise I won't.
Right, shall we shuffle on to another topic, because I'm feeling we're going to dangerously getting close to probably going into this one anyway, and that is, oh damn, now I've lost it. Yeah, there it is. Your best memory of playing the Amiga, Martin.
I mean, it's got to be those everyday after school sessions with my friend Mark. Just hours would disappear. I mean, every day we would be playing Kickoff 2, you know, versus each other. We'd be playing Chaos Engine. We would be playing IK Plus. We would be playing. There's a great game called Base Jumpers. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Base Jumpers. It's like a really fun, silly game where you live. I don't know if you've played it, but you basically climb your way. It's like it starts off as a platformer. You sort of climb your way to the top of a tower, and then once you get to the top, you both jump off, and then you have to parachute to the bottom whilst dodging pipes and God knows what. And if you hit anything, you literally explode into a big puddle of blood. It does
sound familiar. Now you've said about avoiding stuff. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's really great. And obviously then you can have 2 players, but then there's 2 computer control players. So, wow.
There you go.
No idea. Cool. It's a nice game. Really good game.
I've never seen a physical copy. That's really cool.
Look at the condition of that game, though, as well. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's a nice one. That I like that.
Yeah,
it'll be like that. I'd love it.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't fault that he was a great mate, and we just spent every day just playing video games until dinner time. You know, the classic when the lights come on outside, and I'd walk back home, sort of thing, and be straight back in there the next day. I'm pretty sure he probably got fed up with me because I was literally living in his house, just playing games with him every day. But yeah, from a childhood point of view, that's it, right? That was just great. Probably 4 years of that, just going in and out and playing them. So yeah, that's my best memories.
We've got Amiga Old Schools here. 4 mates and my girlfriend, now wife, playing SWAS summer of '96. It's funny, I remember a similar thing when I had the PlayStation back in the day. Yeah. Everyone used to come around and play that.
Oh, the Retro Scale. I've just seen Retro Scale's comment. This is true. My greatest achievement is literally a couple of weeks ago. I got black belt on IK Plus. So there we go. Yeah.
Do you know, the last time I achieved that was back in the day. And that was on my mate's computer. It wasn't even on my 500. It was.
Yeah, I've never done it. So I did a live stream, and I said I'm going to live stream until I hit it. Like, I didn't know how long it was going to last. It turns out it was only about an hour and a bit, but it was. I was well chuffed to finally reach black belt on IK Plus. So,
what level did you get onto black, Martin?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't remember. I think it was like 22, 23, I think.
That's
level
quite
22,
low then, yeah. I think when we managed it, I think it was like level 33, something like that.
Well, the key is the bonus rounds. If you can complete, because the bonus rounds do have an end. So the ball bouncing and the bomb kicking, they do have an end. And if you can get to the end, it's 5,000 points. And I think it's 500,000 points for black belt. So if you can do those bonus levels, you can get quite big high scores. Or maybe not 5. Yeah. Anyway, that's what it is. And you have to get like 500,000 points or whatever it was. So yeah, but did that on live stream. That was a pretty good achievement, but not my best memories. My best memories are being that kid and just playing it every single day.
See, we used to cheat on IK Plus though, because we used to just slide kick everybody. And we used to use the zip stick joystick, so you could tap it really quickly, and it would just continue slide kick across the screen.
I thought he was going to say the space bar to make everyone drop their trousers. I thought that's what he was going to say.
Yeah, that's standard, isn't it? That is, but yeah, yeah. And also, it was T for trousers, wasn't it? Space bar, I think, changed the sun's reflection on the water, and also, if you tapped in any swear words, it come up telling you to stop swearing, didn't it? Yeah.
Unbelievable game. Game. The shame Archer McLean passed away not too long ago.
Yes.
Yeah, big time. Yeah.
For it, he made a lot of great games for the Amiga.
Yeah.
And when you look at the Amiga and the Commodore 64 before it, I would still say IK Plus is the best fighting game, like as in like what? Because I don't, there aren't, Street Fighter on the Amiga was awful, and
Body blows.
body blows, and a few
Oh
others.
God!
But even though it wasn't 1-on-1, it's 1-on-2. I think
Oh.
it's still an amazing fighting game on both of those systems. I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can't look past that.
Yeah. So, Steve, I've lost the thing now. Yeah, best memory of playing the Amiga.
So I've got a lot of memories of wasting a lot of, well, not even wasting, no hours wasted, just a lot of hours played on Championship Manager 93. I remember
That sounds familiar.
Oh my God! Like we would go around, like where I lived, just down the road, we had what we called the green, just obviously like a big field of grass, and we used to play football down there all the time. But a lot of the closer friends, with like one of my mates lived right next to it, and we'd go in there, chuck the Amiga on, and honestly, 4-player on Championship Manager, all arguing about how long we're taking on transfers, and even on single player, I would play that game to death. I would just play it over and over again, and it's still playable now. Every now and again, I'll start a game up and look at the old players. I went on to Premier Manager 2. Loved that one as well. I like the fact you had to start in the conference and work your way up.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of sort of cheats and stuff on that as well. It was brilliant. I had so many great memories. Even what they were saying earlier about Street Fighter 2 being awful. I mean, I remember seeing that in the arcade again. I would have been, obviously 92 that came out. I would have been 9, so really young, and I was obsessed with it. I saw it in the arcade, watching everyone being really good at it, and I wasn't that good at, obviously, at that age, but I could play it a little bit. And obviously, when it got an Amiga release, I was in my element. And again, it wasn't that good, but I made the best of it. I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of good memories playing that game.
The amount of disc swaps.
Oh, I mean,
yeah, it was horrendous, wasn't it?
I mean, luckily, again, it was 4 discs, and we had an external drive, so we always had 2 in, so it wasn't horrific. But obviously, you play it now, the frame rate's absolutely shocking. But I remember having some really, really good memories of that game, and I always remember like going on from Street Fighter 2 when Mortal Kombat came out in the arcade. And again, I was obsessed with that. I was like, oh my God, like back then it looked so good. And I remember being in Lakeside. Now I don't live too far from Lakeside, but I'm in Kent, so I'm the other side of the bridge.
You're probably not far from us. Yeah.
So like going to Lakeside was a big thing for me, because obviously Blue Water wasn't built then. So
we used to do that. Yeah.
And I saw Mortal Kombat. I didn't even know it had been released for the Amiga, but saw it and absolutely begged my mum to get it. But again, it's the first game I remember, and I think I've got it. Have I got it around here? Oh, I won't bother looking, but I'm sure it's the first ever Amiga game I remember seeing. It had the 15 age rating on it, and I remember giving it to my mum with my thumb over the top of it. Because I say I would have been like 10 or 11. I would have been 10 or 11 at the most. And I gave it to mum, and she bought it for me. I was well happy, and I remember going back over the bridge, like well excited, like looking through the manual, and I got quite good at it. And obviously, I'd seen all the fatalities, and I didn't really. I mean, I wasn't bothered about gore and stuff like that. I mean, I'd seen RoboCop by then, do you know what I mean? But I remember doing the Sub-Zero fatality, and I never realized, I'd seen it on the arcade, but I didn't realize that was his spine that came out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that's fucking sick. That's gross. Like, I was like horrified by it. But no, I loved it. I absolutely loved that game. And to be fair, they've done a good job, considering it only had one button you could play with.
It
didn't play that bad.
Yeah.
It didn't play that bad. Like,
the Mortal Kombat didn't play too bad at all. Mortal Kombat was pretty good. I'd say better than Street Fighter, 100%.
Oh, 1,000,000%. Yeah, million times better than Street Fighter. Million times better. So
that's the only time I'll ever say that sentence. I will never say Street Fighter is Mortal Kombat is better than Street Fighter, apart from
definitely
that.
Not, but it definitely is on the Amiga. And yes, I had a lot of good memories on that. A lot of good memories on Pinball Dreams as well. Honestly, it's just you buy all this stuff back, trying to sort of relive it, but it will never be the same.
No.
I've just had an interesting thought, because we're all. I mean, I'm 44. Lee, I don't know. Well, you
I'm
slightly
45.
45. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have all been in the backs of a car coming over Dartford Bridge when it first opened with toys in the back. We've all, because we used to shop at the Tesco's over there, right? So I used to walk around and get He-Man at that Tesco and all sorts of stuff and things like that. So we all have a shared memory of coming over that bridge, like going, oh, I can't wait to get home and play with whatever this is. So we've all been there. It's quite a nice little thing. We're all connected
The
by
bus
the bridge.
over there, which was a nightmare because you only had like one bus every hour going over there. Yeah.
Nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, got good memories of going over to the lakeside, I have to say. A lot of my
Where are you
PlayStation
from
stuff
then, Lee?
comes from there.
Are you local to me then? I mean, I don't even know where you're from. Or was
So,
you local?
basically, I'm in Bexleyheath.
Oh, okay. Yeah, not far from me
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Me and Lee actually live, like, we didn't know this because we've only known each other for 2-3 years, Lee. But we did the classic where you start saying, when you meet people online, it's like, oh, where do you live? And you go, oh, I roughly live around this area. And me and Lee started to narrow down this area. And it turns out we're about 2 streets away.
Yeah.
So it's kind of bonkers.
I go around and see Martin quite regularly. So
it's quite weird. We're less than a mile away from each other.
9 times out of 10, I take a bag round with me and then I come back with a bag.
So what? You're in Bexleyheath now, Martin, but you said you lived in
Yes.
Kent.
So I weirdly, my family have moved down the country. So they started off in Liverpool. We moved from Liverpool to Northampton. That's where I was born, and then from Northampton down to Dartford area, and that's it. Yeah, we've been down here since I was about 6 or 7, I think. So yeah.
Honestly, if you have any more incompatible discs or whatever like that, I'm literally in like 10 minutes from Blue Water. Just
nice.
It'll be quicker rather than faffing. Just drive them down.
Yeah.
There we go. Awesome.
Oh, you'll have to at some point pay a visit to the lodge and see Martin.
Yes, mate, you're very welcome.
Got a lovely setup there.
Yeah, I'm going to nick that twice.
You're very, very welcome. Yeah.
Nice one.
Well, I suppose I better give you my memory. So my memory is playing with my uncle, because when he brought the 500 down, or the 500 plus, and then, like I say, a later date I got the 1200, but he come down and he brought all these games. So some of the games I played with him were Cannon Fodder 1 and 2, Beneath a Still Sky. That was a favourite, that one. Oh man, he didn't get very far in it. So when we started playing it, we got further together than he'd got. But man, you've got to click on a lot of stuff to get anywhere on that game. You can waste hours and hardly do anything. You know,
and that's before YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah. What was the other one? Syndicate was another one.
Yeah, really nice game.
Chaos Engine. Oh, what was the other one? It was Lemmings. I've nearly forgot that. Lemmings 1 and 2. Played that a lot as well. Yes, it was mainly them sort of games, but they're my favourite memories. I mean, obviously, I do have memories of playing it with my mate when the Amiga first came out, but my favourite ones are definitely with my uncle. It was every Monday. He used to come down every Monday and we'd have an Amiga night every Monday. Kind of similar to what you do now, I suppose, Martin, with Monday Night Retro.
Yeah.
Only then it wasn't retro. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
yeah. Point and click adventures with my dad would be another one. Like my dad, like I've said to people before, he's 76 now and still games. Like he's still a gamer at 76 years old, and obviously that's all come from the systems we had back in the day. But the amount of times we'd sit there and play through, the Monkey Islands, the Simon the Sorcerers, the Beneath a Still Sky, Indiana Jones, Police Quest, King's Quest, all of those games, they were huge. So yeah, you would great memories of playing it alongside my dad. So really cool.
I remember trying to play Gunship once with my uncle. Man, never again. Oh, that was a nightmare, that game. Like, you had to have the keyboard layout, didn't you? And all the different buttons. Oh, my God.
And the manual that was about this thick.
Yeah. And another one that was like that was Silent Service as well. Do you remember that? The submarine game.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That
I
is an
remember-
issue with if people today, I think, sometimes have a bad experience if they emulate games or even
Yeah.
use the A500 Mini or something like that, and they'll fire up a game like this, like Elite 2, right? Elite 2 is an amazing game, and it was amazing when I played it when I was a kid. I remember sinking hundreds of hours into that game. But good luck playing it today if you just load it up without any manual or anything like that, because I'm afraid you're going to have to go and find out all the key commands, all the things. You can't just grab a joystick or a mouse and just start playing it. So, and it's just not designed to work on. Like, you fire up on an Amiga 500 Mini, good luck, because you ain't going to get very far.
I mean, even games like Syndicate, I remember I had a copy of that. And I remember, like, for a long time, I had no idea what I was supposed to do in that game. Because you don't know unless you got the manual, really, with that game.
Yeah.
You can just walk around and shoot stuff, but that's all you know, unless you got the manual, really.
Yeah.
You know? Flashback, that was another one I enjoyed playing as well with my uncle. Flashback, that was a great game, wasn't it?
Great game.
Yeah. It was one of the first games, I would say, where you had like what looked like proper human movement when he climbs up and runs, and yeah, it's got to be one of the earliest ones. I don't know, maybe Another World, because that was before that, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty similar games.
Yeah. I think Flashback had to be the better one of the two, though, when it come down to it. But yeah, interesting, because I've got it again, that, for the Switch.
Yeah.
It plays pretty good on there, actually.
Yeah. What is it, like a remake, is it? Or
yeah, I mean, basically, you've got save states on it. It's remastered.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was something else that was different on it as well. I forget what now, though. Yeah, they did add something else into it as well, but I can't remember what it was. But it looks good and it plays well. Last time we went away, I took the Switch with me and we was playing it, me and the boys. So my boys loved it. So
nice.
I hate to mention it because I don't like it, but the Evercade, and there's a new cart for that which has got both of the games on it. It's got
Another World's on it, isn't it?
Another World, Flashback, and then a few others. Because there is a game, I can't think of what it's called. There is a third game that's very similar to Flashback and Another World. I don't know how new it is.
Oh, yes.
Very, very similar. Like, as soon as you see it, you know it's from probably the same developers and stuff, because it's literally the same movement, the same monsters in it, and all sorts. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head.
It's on the Evercade cart as well, isn't it? If I remember right.
I don't know if it's on the Evercade cart, but I did see some video of it not long ago, and I was like, "Oh, crikey, that's exactly the same as those two games." Maybe someone in the chat might know what it's called, but it's very similar designed.
Okay.
Yeah, I do remember a third game. That's going to bug me now. I'm looking at my phone. Do I look at it? Pixel Plugs just put Prince of Persia. No, it's not that one, is it? But I do get what he's getting at with that. There is similar movements.
No, this is in the same sort of. I won't call it. It's not shell shade, or what it's called, cell shaders, but it's the same graphical, the style. It's still set in the future. It's still got like a laser. The guy's still got a pistol and stuff like that. Almost identical, but it's obviously a slightly different environment.
Was it done by the same people? Do you remember?
I think so. If it's not, then they very much copied it. It might even be a new homebrew game. It could even be new. It could even be.
I'm just doing the search now.
Sort of thing. It'll bug me now. I'll have to. Maybe if I look at while we're talking, I will look at my YouTube history and see if it comes.
I know you did have Degeneration. I mean, that was a similar sort of look almost, but it's more of isometric, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't that.
I've just
I missed out on a lot of those sort of adventure games, point and click games, because I was just too young for them. I was just too young. A lot of games I've got memories of is, I say, sort of arcade pick up and play stuff rather than your sort of simulators and your point and clicks. But that's not to say I've still got a lot of respect for them. I know that things like Monkey Island's, that's two of the best rated games on the Amiga, and I've never played either of them. What I might do is look at the walkthroughs, because the humor and music and everything about it's supposed to be really nice. But
if I was going to recommend one, I would recommend just because it's got speech, is the Simon the Sorcerer on the CD32 version.
Yeah,
because
I own it as well. I do own it.
Isn't that the one that's got the voice of Christopher Barry from Red Dwarf on it?
it might be. Yeah, I can't
Yeah,
remember.
Rimmer from Red Dwarf. He does the voice to it.
But the Simon the Sorcerer game, even without the speech, is an amazing point and click adventure game. But with the speech, it's just fantastic, and it means you're not. There's obviously nothing wrong with sitting there and reading all the screens, and you can make voices up in your head as you like. But it's done so well on that CD32 version.
Am I right in saying the CD32 version? It actually highlights the items as well.
Yeah, I think you can do that. I think there is one where you can have
the original ones, like literally you're clicking all over.
Oh yeah.
Whereas actually CD32, when you go in the areas, it's almost highlighted, so it's not as.
And it's then working out which items combine with other items, so you end up just trying every item with every other item until you get a lucky hit or something. So they can be tough to go back to, but they are brilliant. They are. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that is what the Amiga's renowned for, is those adventure games and point and click games. Just not my memories, because I say, like, when you've got sort of 3 or 4 years up on me, like I was just a kid. I've never understood any of it.
And that's what I was going to say. The reason why it was such a big, obviously coming from the Commodore 64 to the Amiga, the big thing was the mouse, right? The fact that you went to having a peripheral that never existed before. So all of those sim games, god games, point and click games, like they just work so well with a mouse. I mean, I don't know how anyone plays Lemmings or Syndicate or Theme Park with a joypad. Like,
I wouldn't do it. And the manager games, like no.
And the manager,
like Mega Drive ports and stuff. It's like, no, not for me.
Yeah. So the fact that you've got the mouse it opened up a whole new way of playing video games, and it even till today it's still a fantastic way to play certain types of game, right? So
Fate of Atlantis. Yeah, I remember that.
That'd be Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I
don't think I ever played it on the Amiga though. I think I played it on the Commodore 64 and it was terrible. Sure, I played it on that.
That'd be a late release on the C64.
Yeah, I'm sure
if it was
on there. Hang on, let me double check. If not, if it wasn't a full game, it was a demo. But I know I did play it on there.
Since it's the weekend.
Oh, is that your boy?
Yeah, he's 1 second. I go on mute a sec.
He's playing Spider-Man 2, so he's probably after help on it. Yeah.
Wicked.
Oh, just having a look here just to see if it did. Yeah, it did come out on there.
That's mad.
Yeah.
A big game for an 8-bit micro.
Yeah, it was on the Commodore 64, Amstrad, and ZX Spectrum as well, and Atari ST.
I'm sure that was on like something. Was it 14 discs? Was it on the Amiga? Fate of Atlantis?
Some of them were huge. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, it would have probably been 10 at least, I imagine.
Yeah.
How the hell did they get that on the Commodore 64? There must have been a lot more, like lots.
It can't be the same game, surely. It can't be the same point and click. There is a platformer on the Commodore 64. I don't think there's a point and click adventure on the Commodore 64.
So I know some of them Indiana Jones games, they got the adventure as well as an arcade game release.
Yeah.
It'd be like the arcade version or the graphic adventure version.
So long ago, I can't remember, but I know
it would be hard to do on a C64, I think.
Yeah, you wouldn't have had the point and click aspect of it at all, would you?
No, there's definitely been there is a platformer. It's not a Hit Squad, I don't think, but there is. I have played a Indiana Jones platform because I remember whipping the bad guy. I think it was might have been Temple of Doom, maybe, but I can't remember.
Might have been Last Crusade because that's what Amiga's
maybe.
Yeah, probably was Last Crusade, that one.
Yeah, because I know Last Crusade got a graphic adventure as well as an arcade.
Yeah. Right, shall we move on to another topic? I'm going to do Martin's one because I know he wanted this one included. Let's settle the debate, kick off two more sensible soccer.
Is that a debate?
Well,
oh, good. It looks like we might have a disagreement. That's good.
I think you might be surprised on this because I actually said to Martin earlier, I think mine is Kickoff 2 because I played more of Kickoff 2 because that's what my mate had.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I mean,
my reasoning is one, Kickoff 2 is way faster, so it is a much faster
It
paced
is a quick game. Yeah.
Two, it is the game I played almost daily, and because for me Sensible Soccer came out much later in the Amiga's life, I didn't probably get much time with it before I was looking at other things, where I think Kickoff 2 came out way before, obviously. I just remember R. Shaw coming up the wing and just playing playing that game almost every single day, to the point where you could get so good that you could lob the ball from the semicircle. There was a certain point on the semicircle, if you lobbed the ball from there, you could get a goal almost every single time. And once you'd learnt some of these tricks, you became a bit of a god at the game, regardless of who you played against. So, I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna dig on Sensible Soccer at all, because actually it is an amazing game, but for me personally, it was Kickoff 2 every day. I just absolutely loved it.
So
go on, Steve, tell us all about Sensible Soccer.
Well, I'll tell you what, right, I'm going to be completely unbiased, right? I'm completely unbiased because I played Kickoff 2. I mean, it's not a funny story, it's actually quite a boring story, but when I got Kickoff 2 not long after release, and I remember I had it was either an 8th or 9th birthday party, and I remember on Kickoff 2 you had the editor, and you could, because obviously you only had 8 international teams on there. Obviously this would have been around, I would have said sort of 91, 92. So I mean, I'm a Villa fan, so what I used to do was edit Aston Villa into the game. And I remember so I had this birthday party, and I thought, before the birthday party, I'll boot up Kickoff 2, so I've got my friends coming round, and I'll change all the teams, like have Man United, have Liverpool on there, and change a few of the player names. And I remember doing it, and none of my friends liked it, and so I spent all that time, and we turned it off after about 5 minutes. But I played it a lot, and I think the only reason, I mean, it's not like I dislike Kickoff 2, because I was actually doing a stream quite a few years ago, and I think I was doing like a live Amiga pickup stream, and I picked up a nice copy of like the original Kickoff on the Amiga, and it's in like the most flimsiest boxes. Like it's almost impossible to get a nice condition version, but I did actually find a nice condition version which hadn't fallen apart. And I remember showing it on camera, and it was RMC. Neil was watching. Because basically what I was doing, it was a live pickup video as well as RD's going to work, and I booted it up, and he basically told me that, like, the mechanic on Kickoff, like Kickoff and Kickoff 2, because again I would have been really young, so I'm going to sort of say that I didn't get it. I never got the mechanic of basically when you're receiving the ball, you press the button and then you let go of the button to kick it.
Yeah.
Now, I grew up not really knowing that, so I had no idea there was a mechanic there where you could actually trap the ball, change direction, let go of the ball, play it out. So I've got a lot of respect for Kickoff 2, because I know Sensible Soccer took some things from it, not all things. I mean, I think a lot of people forget Microsoft Soccer came out, Microprose Soccer came out before Kickoff 2, and actually that sort of invented sort of the aftertouch and swerving and stuff, and was a sort of top-down game. So I don't think they ripped it off, but I just think maybe I was too young and I didn't get the mechanics of Kickoff 2. But by the time I got to sort of 10, 11, 12, obviously Sensible World of Soccer was out then, and you literally had every team in the world. It was amazing. Obviously, I had a managerial game within it as well. So not only was it amazing to play, it was good to manage. You can transfer players. You had, as I say, you had every player in the world on it. It was unbelievable. The amount of time and effort that went into that game. And obviously the last one was it 96, 97 or 97, 98? I think it was 97, 98 was the last Sensible World of Soccer. And I was still hammering it. And they still have, again, I don't know about Kickoff 2, but they still have, for Sensible World of Soccer, they have a World Cup where a lot of people go to be the world champion on Sensible World of Soccer.
Yeah.
Really?
They'll do that. I have no idea what the following on Kickoff 2 is like, but on Sensible World of Soccer, there's still such a huge following that they hold a World Cup every single year. And
Wow.
I might be wrong, but I think you can even still get updates for like latest squads and stuff like that.
oh
Like, you
yeah,
can still,
yeah.
you
You've
can
got all that.
still
You've still
down-
got people updating them. Yeah, you've still got all that. You've still got
Yeah.
all that. It's
That's mad, isn't it? That's dedication.
and that's what I mean. Like when you think about your FIFAs, because I mean, again, I don't want to hit on FIFA too much. So I've been a massive FIFA player down the years. Like the first FIFA, I couldn't believe what I was watching. It felt like the real thing, and I've been playing FIFAs for years. Don't get me wrong. Probably the last one I was really into was probably about 10 years ago, like FIFA 13, and so I've played quite a lot. But you like in 20, 30 years time, there won't be a FIFA 13 World Tournament. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like it's unbelievable how the longevity of that game. It still holds up today. And that's why I'd always say since World Soccer does it for me. Just the amount of options, not just as a great game of football to play on a computer, but the whole managerial side, the whole, do you know what I mean? Having every player in the world, having every team in the world, that's pretty impressive. And I just don't think Kickoff 2 can compete with that. I mean, as a football playing game, maybe. I mean, maybe you could say, I mean, I know Kickoff 2 is harder. So maybe once you've mastered Sensible World of Soccer, because I think the difficulty curve on SWAS is perfect because you can't pick up and play it. Do you know what I mean? The ball doesn't stick to your feet like in something like FIFA. You can't just turn with the ball. Like so if you can't pick up and play it, there's a skill to learn on it. But maybe it is just that little bit easier than Kickoff 2, and that's why maybe some people prefer Kickoff 2 because maybe it's more of a challenge. But I must admit, I need to go back to Kickoff 2 to try and master that mechanic.
Well, Alex is saying here.
As soon as I got told about that, I played it a little bit. But obviously, you're not going to pick it up in 10 minutes. And I've still never really gone back to it and thought, right, I want to play it because, as I say, I mean, I played it loads back in the day. Kickoff 2, played it loads. I owned it, and I should say it came out before SWAS, so that was sort of the best football game on the Amiga before Sensi came out. And I played it a ton. So I'm not one of these that I'm ignorant to it to sort of say, oh, no, it's crap. Do you know what I mean? Because I know, because I was so into Sensible Soccer, I haven't sort of gone and tried it. I had it, but no, it just doesn't, in my eyes, it doesn't compare. But maybe if I get into that mechanic, do you know what I mean? And I think that's why I quite like these like gaming shows and stuff, because you can play like people like yourselves and like they teach you things, they teach you how to play these games and you learn together, and it just makes things so much more fun. Whereas if you sort of do stick to yourself, there's no point playing it, is there? Do you know what I mean?
It's like what Alex is saying here. They were playing SWAS competitions on the big stage at Blackpool Expo this year.
There you go. I mean, it got an Xbox 360 arcade release. Do you know what I mean? Again, that would have been probably about 2010, 2012. I mean, that's 20 years after the game was released, maybe a little bit less than that, because I know it was the port of SWAS. I mean, I don't see Kickoff 2 having that sort of following. And I'm not saying it's just the following. I think it's just a better game. It's just I
don't think you can argue that the depth of the game, obviously SWAS wasn't there's a newer game in, it was years after Kickoff 2.
I mean, I don't think that many years. I think, what was Kickoff 2? What, 91? I think the original Sensi came out 92. And obviously on the original Sensi, it wasn't Sensible World of Soccer, so it wasn't. You still had more teams. You still had all the international teams, and then you could change data to club teams, which gave you all the big teams in Europe. So I think you probably had about 64, like your Man United and I think even Villa was in Europe that year. So I think Villa was in one of the early ones as well. But the fact you had all the real players as well, do you know what I mean? Like Kickoff 2, it was all.
According to the internet, there's 4 years between them, 1990 to 1994. That was
that probably means SWAS. If you're looking at if you compare Kickoff 2 to Sensible Soccer, there's got to be a lot less.
Yeah, he's probably right there.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
because I know the original SWAS came out in 94, but the original Sensible Soccer, I'm sure, was about 92.
Yeah.
It was a
I
very
think
similar
you're probably
game. The
right.
gameplay didn't
Yeah, because
change.
it didn't have the crowd and all
That-
sorts, did it? You couldn't.
No, that's it. You didn't have the crowd. You didn't. There was just little subtle differences with the gameplay as it went on. But the fundamentals were there. It was still a fantastic playing game.
Yeah.
This comment here made me laugh because I forgot all about this game until it got mentioned here. Dino Dinny's kickoff free. I remember that.
I had good memories of it. I played it. Obviously, it was from the side view. I know it probably hasn't aged very well, but I had good fun playing it. But the actual what they say is sort of the spiritual successor to Kickoff 2 was a game called Goal, which Dino Dinny did.
Yeah.
Because obviously Dino Dina didn't have anything to do with Kickoff 3. But Goal came out. It was published by Virgin, again, probably about 92, 93. I didn't play it that much, but apparently it was a really good playing game. I mean, the only thing I remember is the cursor when you were sort of scrolling over the picture to pick your teams and stuff. It was actually a rotating football. I thought it actually looked quite impressive.
Yeah,
I don't really remember too much about the game. I know.
No, I don't. I think I definitely remember it, but because I can almost picture the box and stuff. But
I know it's one.
I think I moved to Swaz after that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, as I say, it probably came out at the same sort of time as Swaz.
But the thing I missed was the speed of the game. Like I really when I first started playing sensible soccer, it took me a long time to just get used to the pace of it because Kickoff 2 is a very fast. You can get to
It's rapid.
enter into pitch very quickly.
I always compared it to a pinball game. It's rapid.
Yeah.
It's so fast. It's so fast.
Yeah, no sooner have you got the ball that you've lost it again. Like, it's basically what it is, isn't it?
And I played it so much I can in my head I can literally make the ball sound and the foot sound, and also when you kick it really hard, the sound it makes when you're kicking the ball. Just the noises that game made are just so sort of stuck in my brain. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can remember with Sensible Soccer, I used to like play the computer versus the computer when there was like the FA Cup on or something like that. You'd like play it before the game started. You'd set a team and go, "Well, I wonder what one the Amiga's going to pick and who wins the FA Cup."
But you've done that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, I wasn't betting back then, but that could be a good way to do it. Maybe for the next World Cup or something, I'll let Sensible World Cup see if I can win any money using it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there we go.
Right.
I mean, one thing I will say is there were some great football choices on that. I mean, even like you say, the management games. I have tried to play a modern day Football Manager game, and they are nigh on impossible. You feel like you've got a second job. Where back in this day and age, you could pick up and play a manager game or a football game and not have all the stuff you have to go through in today's games. I don't know how people do it, but
no, I mean,
wasn't it Retrobait that blamed the championship football game for failing his GCSEs?
Yeah, he does say that.
Yeah,
he does say that. Yeah,
wouldn't surprise me. They just hook you. They just hook you. Championship Manager was a fantastic game, and I remember playing. I mean, I still play it today, and it's Championship Manager 0102 on the PC. And like you say, Martin, I can't play a new management game. They're so involved.
Yeah,
it's a joke. Whereas that is sort of, I mean, it's just as involved as you need to be. And yeah, it's just makes for a more fun game.
Yeah.
Did you see that, Martin?
Monday Night Retro, yeah, let's do it.
Monday Night Retro.
Yeah. Amiga old school there, saying running down the wing and then crossing it in for a header. Classic tactic. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Similar sort of tactic that I used to use on Speedball.
Yeah,
when you're running down to throw the ball in, it's a perfect way of doing it. Of course, that gets tricky in some of the later levels, though, because you get the old globes that the ball bounces off of, so it don't always work.
That's it.
Got my A1200 May 94 during my GCSEs. Yeah, that's a big combination, isn't it? Pieces of it. Yeah. Right. Let's move into another topic, and this one is yours, Steve.
We're saying sensible soccer then, yeah? Definitely sensible soccer.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'd have to agree that sensible soccer is probably the better of the two. But, yeah, I mean, my memories are of Kickoff 2.
If I had to pick gameplay, I would pick the gameplay of Kickoff 2, but I accept that sensible soccer.
Can you still play the game? You still good at it?
Kickoff 2. I'm not
I'm
as good as
not.
I was when I was a kid, but
I'm not. I know that much.
Yeah.
We'll have a game, whether it's say when I see if it's a
Yeah,
gaming event.
that'd be cool actually. Yeah,
So we'll play both. We'll play both.
Yeah.
And you can see what's held up better.
we'll live stream it and settle the debate live. That's what we'll do.
Sounds like a plan. That
Yeah.
right. Okay, let's move into Steve's topic, which is hidden gems.
I'll be honest, this was my topic. I've done absolutely. I'm gonna wing it a little bit because I didn't really think too much into it. I'm gonna wing it. Did you guys choose any?
I've picked. My problem is I always.
True, but I don't have any
pick
hidden gems.
Yeah, that's my issue because the person who's really good at this is OSG, right? OSG has a number of videos on hidden gems.
Yeah.
And I keep putting in his video. I'll put in his comments. I'll put, "What do you think about this game, though?" I don't think anyone knows, and he'll be like, "Yeah, everyone knows about that." And I'm like, "Oh, well, I didn't." To me, it was a hidden gem, but to you, it might
Yeah,
not be.
but are we? The thing is, when you're looking at hidden gems, are you looking about games that everyone knows about now, or are you on about games that people didn't know so well back in the day? That's the thing.
I would say that nobody really talks about. Nobody, maybe a bit obscure. I mean, I would have said your Crossout is not a particularly well-known game, but really good game, really good shooter. And
very unforgiving.
Base jumpers, Martin. Not a lot of people know about that game, and it's quite. I would have said it was quite obscure. Again, it took me a while to get my copy. I would have said that was quite obscure.
I didn't even know that. I thought that was more of like a public because I thought it was so like niche. I thought maybe it'd even been a public domain game. I didn't even know. I suppose it makes sense as a physical copy, but I've never seen that box you showed. That's the first time I've ever seen it. Is it quite? I imagine it's quite an expensive game, is it?
See, the trouble is with Amiga games, they fluctuate so much, and it's almost because they very rarely come up. All you need is two people that really, really want it.
Yeah.
That pushes the price right up, and then you see it a week later, and it might go for half that price. So they do fluctuate. But I mean, base jumpers, I would say probably 70 to 80. I would have said.
Yeah.
But as I say, I never like. I actually get a few people asking me quite often, "Oh, what do you reckon the value is on this?" And it's like it's so tough. It's so tough to give a price because I've seen Amiga games like Flashback. I mean, Flashback is probably one of the most popular Amiga games ever.
Yeah.
And I would have said all day long, probably 30, 40 quid, right? Now, but the thing with Flashback is, again, like I was saying earlier about Kickoff, the original Kickoff game, Flashback, the box is really flimsy. And as you know, as retro game collectors, conditioning thing. And I saw a Flashback come on eBay not too long ago. I mean, I don't need it. I've got it, but I'm always looking for it. I'm always looking at Amiga games. And it was a nice copy. I mean, I wouldn't have said it was minty, but it was really nice. Ended up selling for like 160 quid.
Wow.
Like £160 for Flashback. That do you know what I mean? Like unbelievable. But I suppose that's what condition does. I mean, because even Monkey Island are selling quite often for in and around 100, if not more, depending on condition. And that game sold thousands. Do you know what I mean? Like, how is it selling for that much?
Yeah.
But I know this isn't the topic, but well, actually it is a topic because this may be a hidden gem. But Agony on Amiga, I looked up a physical copy of that, and it was like £1,000 or something.
Yeah,
again, for you, obviously there's a difference between what people want and what it would sell for. And a nice Agony, you'd pick up about 150.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
But that is I don't know if that's it because I know Retrobait hadn't seen that game before until I played it on a live stream. But that's an amazing. I think it's a beautiful game.
I like the music on that. Like when the way the beat hits, it's almost like it's doing it when you're shooting.
It's a great game.
I love the intro. The intro music makes that game for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives me goosebumps. The intro music on that game. I could listen to it for ages. I love it. Absolutely.
And it's quite dramatic. Yeah.
And also, it couldn't be anything other than an Amiga game. It's got that look and feel where I would know that was an Amiga game if I didn't see it before and you was asked what system it was on. To me, it is like it screams Amiga. It couldn't be on any other system, as far as I know.
So very big sprites. Very big sprites on that game. I always thought that was an unusual thing that they went with.
Yeah, just the detail of the owl and the movement is.
The actual sprite of the owl is amazing. The wind movement and Yeah, it's very. As I said, I was playing it literally the other night I was actually playing it on Monday on a live stream, and I said it's very David Bowie from Labyrinth. You know, it feels like the album
Yeah.
Labyrinth.
I mean, a lot of people don't know that that's actually from the logo, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. The owl, the Psygnosis owl.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's really, it's a stunning game. It's not the best shooter in the world from a long stretch, but just
it's fun.
The whole package of it. Because again, I don't know if you've ever actually seen an original copy in person, but the box is square. Like obviously you see, I mean, it's all the way up there, so I'm not going to grab it. But you see, like these boxes.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can tell it's rectangle. Agony is this sort of size, but square. So it's a really big box.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, Steve,
you're making me want to go and get it.
Can you get it, Steve? Can you get it?
I've got to get it.
Okay, well, while Steve's getting it, I'll give my one. So one of them I thought of was, this is the thing, it's a well-known game now, but I don't remember ever hearing it back in the day, and that was Banshee.
Oh, Banshee, yeah. I mean, again, Banshee's...
You know, we know it now, but back in the day, that
Oh, yeah,
wasn't a
well, I
game
think the
I'd
problem
heard of,
was...
you know?
Probably because not many people could run it. That's probably why, because you needed... That is an AGA game, so it wasn't probably that well known because people didn't know... They couldn't play it. If you had an Amiga 500, you couldn't play Banshee.
On the Amiga, to be honest, Banshee is a really good game. But no, Agony. See, look, it's just beautiful.
It is
like,
awesome.
the box.
It's like mint condition, isn't it?
This is minty. It's
lovely
game. But I just love this as the package. Do you know what I mean? The whole package, the intro. I mean, I love shooters anyway. And it's just the whole package, the music, the graphics.
It almost looks like a board game. Like I collect board games as well, and that looks like a real typical like small. If you told me that was a role-playing tabletop game or something, I'd be like, oh yeah, that looks really cool. It's a really nice.
But no, beautiful game, really beautiful game. But again, and I know it's one I didn't play back in the day. Would you say it's obscure? Probably not now, but yeah, back in the day, I wouldn't have said it would have probably sold that well.
Some great ones on there.
CAF Disc Smash, Deliverance, Dreamweb, Extreme Racing. What was that one? Second. Oh, what's it called? Second something. It was a racing game. Racing game.
Second.
Oh, damn! What's it called? No Second Place or something like that. Was it?
It's a motorbike game.
It was a racing game. I can't remember if it was car or bike though. Long time ago since I played it. Okay. But it's definitely one that not a lot of people have heard of.
I want to say, is it No Second Prize? Is it that one?
That might be it. Yeah, that might be it.
I don't know much about it. I can sort of half picture the art to it. I don't know much about it though, to be honest.
I just remember, again, I don't remember a massive amount about it, but I do remember that not many people had heard of it.
Yeah, that's to be honest, that is a hidden gem to me because I've not heard of it.
My mate brought it.
Amiga Old School's got some great ones there. Shuffle Pack Cafe. Shuffle Pack Cafe is a fantastic game. Very, very unique. Like I don't think I've seen another game even remotely like it. Bloody hard.
Here we go. No Second Prize. Yeah.
Second Prize. That's it. Yeah.
If you got anywhere past the first couple of people in that game, the computer AI just became godlike and just annihilated you and everything. He's put Dreamweb there as well. That's an amazing game.
Don't know much about it. I've heard of it. Never played it though.
Do you own a physical copy of it, Steve?
I have.
Oh, damn it! I thought I might have.
I get the feeling that at this point that's a silly question because in most cases I think you're set, Steve. Have you got a physical? It'll be yeah.
I thinned a few bits out. I thinned, say, some of the adventure games and the newer games, like your Degeneration. I know for a fact I moved that on because it just wasn't. I was never going to play it. I kept like the Monkey Islands and the big ones like that, but I did thin a few of the newer games that hadn't aged very well. But
yeah,
I know some of them I've still got laying around. Like games like Gloom. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a Doom clone that's aged terribly, and it's like I'm never going to play this game. And the box is massive. Like I'm just going to let it go. Like I did that with quite a few sort of later Amiga games.
Virtual.
But I'm not sure if I don't know if Dreamweb survived or whether it got moved on. I'm not sure. I'll look into it for you.
Yeah, it's a really good game.
Is it an adventure game? Is it an adventure game?
Yeah, it is. It's a top-down sort of click and point adventure, but it does some really cool things with like you can zoom into object, you can use a magnifying glass to zoom into things on a table, and it does a really good job of having your top down view and also your close up view, so you do investigations, and it's very sort of bit trippy, and you know, it's a very cool game. It is, and definitely I think it is a hidden gem. Not many people would have played it, but you even get like a serial killer's manual with it and stuff, like you have to like reference the book and that sort of thing. It is really good. Fantastic game. But you mentioned there Degeneration as well. Like I think that's a great game. You have to get into it, but it is really good. One to check out.
Oh, Megalomania. You don't. I would have thought you would have heard of that quite a bit. I don't know if I'd class that as a hidden gem.
No, it's more of a. Well, I mean, obviously, it had a load of sensible soccer characters in there, didn't it? So it's got to be good.
It was on the Mega Drive as well, wasn't it? So it was.
Again, how you played that game on a Mega Drive, I don't know, because
well, that's like a lot of games, though, isn't it? I mean, they put Lemmings on the Mega Drive, and I mean, that's not easy to play on there.
No,
that's a mouse game, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'd see why they put it on there, just to obviously sell copies of a really popular game, but nah.
Yeah,
it's
Cannon Fodder. That's the worst on a Mega Drive. Cannon Fodder's terrible.
No,
yeah,
you can't play games. But even things like Sensible Soccer, like it doesn't play that well on the Mega Drive. Like,
yeah.
Another great shooter. I'm sure you probably all heard of it. Is the Apidia. That was a great. I don't know if many people got to play that.
Apidia.
I've got a shot. I know it's here, and the artwork is really nice.
Oh man, Steve, I want to be in your room.
See, now the box looks familiar, but I don't think I've ever played it.
So you play as like you're a prince that's turned into a wasp, I think you are, and then
oh, hang on, this sounds familiar.
Yeah, and then you're off to rescue the princess. Classic.
Is it a side scroller?
Yeah, side scroller shooter, but it's all like bugs, and you're in like natural environments. It's really great music.
Yeah, amazing music on that game. Yeah. No, I love that game. Absolutely love that game.
Yes, I remember this game. In fact, if I remember right, I'm sure they played that game on a TV show. Like one of the kids' TV shows that used to be on at the weekends. When I was a kid, I'm sure I remember you used to have to ring in and play that game using the phone.
No, I never remember the picture. I always remember Magic Pockets doing that, but never.
Yeah, they did it with that as well. Yeah, that's right. Magic Pockets. Yeah.
That's a great game as well. Magic Pockets.
Yeah.
Really
I did like the. I know it's not a hidden gem, but I did like the pinball games as well. I used to enjoy them.
Oh, I loved them.
Is there any pinball games that are a hidden gem? Would you say?
Pinball.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of Slam Tilt.
I have. Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Slam Tilt is a very, very good pinball game on the Amiga.
Lots of people rate it above Pinball Illusions and Pinball Dreams, don't they? They actually
really?
Say it's a better game. Yeah.
Wow.
Boring cover art though. Again, I've got everything in the hand.
Yes, it's like a black box with like it's another variant with like a set of rails or something, isn't there? I'm sure I've seen one with like a black box and silver rails on it.
No idea. It's got to be a PC version, isn't it?
Or maybe that's the PC version. Yeah.
Because it was a late Amiga release. I think that was probably like 96, 97 that came out. AGA only, I believe. Yeah, not great. I'm just looking for inspiration for hidden gems. I've really been really rubbish and not really looked into it much. But I mean, one I can find. Not many people know about Virocop.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that.
That's quite a cool little game.
Yeah, that one I've never heard of.
It plays a little bit like a shooter, really. A bit of a sort of an isometric.
Yeah, isometric view, isn't it? Yeah,
it's all top down.
Yeah.
But that plays really well. I've always liked that game. It plays fast. It's like a multi-scrolling.
I picked out these two, so I don't know if it's hidden gem or not, but I really like this game here, which is Harlequin.
I remember that box art.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gremlin game, isn't it?
Cool game. Oh, I didn't mean to have it just there, but I did have Dreamweb. There you go.
I thought he was looking to buy it. I'll pick mine if I find it.
And then I picked out that one as well. So Premiere, which is quite a cool platformer. Don't know if anyone remembers that one.
Well,
So you're on film sets, Lee, and you're making your way around various film sets, collecting and
Oh,
trying to
okay.
find your way out. Yeah, it's really cool. So it's got like a horror themed level and a western level and behind the scenes level and things like that. So yeah, it's quite a cool little platforming game there.
Different idea, isn't it, as well?
My boxes are not as mint as yours, Steve. This is I'm a little bit ashamed to show my stuff.
Yeah, it's not easy to get them in that condition. Because I started early, it was I had my pick. In fact, Harlequin is quite hard to get in good condition. I think I've probably had about 3 copies of that before I found one I liked.
Yeah, it's like with some of the games I'm picking up at the moment. I've been trying to pick up a lot of the Mega Drive games I had back in the day.
Yeah,
and I tend to pay a little bit more just to get it in a nicer condition.
that's it.
Yeah, because it's no point. Some people they'll go, "Oh, it's a £5 cheaper. I'll get that one." I'd rather pay the £5.
Yeah,
get a nice looking one.
I agree.
Yeah. It's worth
it's
it.
not on your topics, Lee, but I don't think we can go without talking about the fact that Steve's got a full Hit Squad collection for the Amiga.
Oh, not
yes.
quite.
Well,
not quite.
Damn close, I imagine.
Well, it's just one game. It's just.
What's the game? What's the game?
It's European Champions football game, Ocean game. I've got discs and a manual, and I've never seen a box for it.
Oh wow.
I've never seen a box. I'm not even sure if it was even released. I reckon it might have been cancelled because.
I was going to say, was it an expensive game? But I mean, if you haven't seen it anywhere, then you wouldn't know, would you?
No, exactly. I mean, there's no real expensive games on the Hit Squad label. I don't
know. Commodore 64, there is, isn't it, Mark?
Oh yeah. It's not Amiga. I mean, I think it was only me that was collecting them, and I'd done a video when I needed about 2 or 3 more, and it was Lethal Weapon. I know that's quite an expensive one on 64, isn't it?
Yeah,
I was after
100%.
Lethal Weapon, and I'd never paid any more than 20 quid for an Amiga Hit Squads. And Lethal Weapon, after I'd done the video, one came up shortly afterwards, and I think I ended up having to pay about 45 quid for it. And I guarantee, if I hadn't have done that video, I probably would have got it for what it was listed at.
Yeah.
I think I inadvertently lifted the price.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next time, I'm actually going for a full Kicks Amiga collection as well. And believe it or not, more Kicks releases than the Hit Squad on Amiga. And bearing in mind, there's 100, and I think there was about 130 Hit Squads. I think there's closer to 150 Kicks games. But I'm not doing any vids until I've got them all.
Well, see, what you're saying here, Martin actually had a guy, and this guy actually openly told you this, didn't he, Martin? What a jerk. He was purposely running up the prices on Hit Squads, knowing full well the other bidder was
Martin. I was doing videos on it and stuff. He told me that, there's nothing I could, and this was after I'd bought some games for slightly inflated prices. I discovered that people were bidding me up knowing that I was going to go for them. So
this is why I've not done any videos on my Hit Squad collection, because I don't want the same.
No, I think the trouble is with YouTube, I mean, people, I don't think there was any malice in it, the reason I spent a little bit more, but YouTube's just influential. I mean, that Agony, I don't know if you guys know Mr. Bads or watch any of his stuff. Paul, I watched him years ago, and he was going for a full Psygnosis collection, and Psygnosis is such a beautiful publisher. Like all their like some of the games are absolute garbage, but the box is like top drawer. All the presentation, and it made me want to go for a full Psygnosis collection. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't doing it out of spite. It's just you watch something and you get something in your mind. And you're like, oh, that'd be awesome.
I get that problem all the time.
Yeah. There you go. And that's all. I think that's all I've done. I've mentioned that, Lethal Weapon's quite tough to get. And somebody's like, oh, yeah, that'd be quite cool. Then go for a full Amiga set. Oh, if Lethal Weapon's hard to get, let's get that one early. Now I've seen it. Bang, I've paid probably double the price of what it's actually worth.
Yeah.
Like, good
example. Well, I'm one away from Lethal Weapon on the Hit Squads. That's my last one. I'm kind of resigned to the fact that I'll probably never see one, or I mean, it'll be a
you never know, mate. You never know.
It'll be a 500 quid tape, I imagine, if it ever appears.
I know Mr. Bads has got it, so keep an eye on him, see if he sells up.
So he gets desperate.
But no, like influencing other people is definitely a thing because I mean, I do a comic stream with Chef, and a good example. He showed a series of comics like one stream, and then by the following stream, I bought them. So
Yeah.
you know, it
It's
literally
nuts,
does
isn't it?
happen.
It's nuts. It's so easy to get roped in when you
Yeah,
when you see, because you sort of, I mean, I don't know how you guys watch YouTube, but I sort of see some of these people as like my friends. They're people I talk to. Like I imagine what you do with
Yeah.
yourselves. So you sort of, sometimes you watch these, whether they be pickup videos or whatever, and you see sort of what your mates are buying, and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'd love that. And you just get hooked, and it's like, don't get me wrong, that's not how I got into Amiga. Well, I suppose it sort of is how I got into Amiga collecting, because basically before YouTube, like back in sort of the early noughties, when sort of I got on eBay, probably 2003, 2004, I was picking up Amiga games left, right, and centre because basically I wanted them all back. Because back when I was a kid, I had all the game boxes under my bed, and everyone had them for Amigas. You had the disc boxes, like, so you chuck all your floppies in there. And I ended up chucking all the big boxes away. I chucked them all away because they were taking up too much room. And no regrets, because when I really think about it, I didn't have anything in there like, oh my God, that'd be worth a fortune now. Because I did have a fair share of original games, so I used to get them for Christmas, birthdays, and stuff. I know I put my fair share of copies as well. But yeah, I was picking them all up in the early 2000s, and I remember saying probably around 2015, I'd never bought a game that I didn't want to play. And then sort of YouTube sort of came along, and I was watching people like Paul and other tubers, and what they try and do, they'll pick a publisher. So they'll, again, like Psygnosis or Gremlin, and they'll want to get all the games from that publisher. And that's what I started doing. And the amount of garbage games you end up with on your shelves, I wouldn't recommend it. And yeah, that's it. So it's so influential. It can be quite dangerous, as long as you're not getting yourself financially in trouble paying for some of this stuff.
Yeah, some people do though, don't they? Some people are really addicted to it, you know.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And, I don't like seeing that happen. Cause there's a few people I know that will literally spend their last tenner on a game rather than feeding themselves. You know, it's like, what are you doing?
This all comes down to that thing. They call it fear of missing out or something, don't they?
FOMO.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I mean, especially if it's something like eBay, it will always come around again. It always does.
Well, the trouble with, I mean, I will say about Amiga, one of the hidden gems I would say, and it was the first one that came to mind, is a game called Gravity Force. And it's a little bit like, have you ever played Thrust?
Yeah.
It plays a little bit like that. You can go on missions and you shooting things and what have you, but you can also race each other. So basically, it's that sort of mechanic, but I think it's called Dogfight. But you're actually racing around the track. It's quite a cool game. Not many people have it. It had a physical release for the Amiga. It's an early game. It's probably 88. I would have said. So it's a really early game. I've never seen it. I've been collecting Amiga for such a long time, and I've never seen it. And that's the thing with what you say about there'll be another one that comes up. I mean, I think the reason I find Amiga so interesting is there's always games you've never heard of. Like with the console stuff, everyone knows them. Like Mega Drive, there's 530 games. You pull out an Amiga game, you probably would have known it, depending on how much you know about Mega Drive or how long you watch YouTube for. It's like, you know, the big hitters. You know, do you know what I mean? Like for the Mega Drive, for the Super Nintendo, there might be the odd one, maybe from different countries, different regions that you're like, oh, I didn't realise that got released. But other than that, the console stuff, you know, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just been regurgitated so much on YouTube that you're never surprised. But the Amiga, there's always something new, and there's so many games that I know of. I believe I believe they've got a release, but who knows? Like what I'm saying about this European Champions, did it get released? Didn't it? There's nothing on the internet. Like you wouldn't get that for a Mega Drive, like a console release. Do you know what I mean? There's no real sort of question marks. But because the Amiga, how many games did it have? Like what, about 6,000-7,000 original, like physical games? Like
exactly.
You know what I mean? It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, and that's without
See,
counting the public domain stuff and everything else,
Yeah.
right? I mean, the list is endless, really.
That's it. And don't get me wrong, they weren't all good. In fact, there was some
No.
absolute garbage released.
well, I mean, I find it even with micros as well because
Oh yeah,
so I watch sci-fi occasionally because only recent times in the last year or so, I picked up an Amstrad because it was the only micro I didn't have, and like in terms of the main three, like I got the Acorn, the C64, the ZX Spectrum 128, but I didn't have the Amstrad, so I thought I'll get one of them. But of course, didn't really know much in terms of games out in it, so I watched Zypho quite a bit, and
yeah,
even then, he'll say a game, and number one, it's like, well, I've never heard of it. But then it's like, well, I never had an Amstrad back in the day. Maybe that's why.
yeah.
But then you go on eBay and you look for it, and it's like, it's not even on there.
That's it. And that's
There's a lot of Amstrad games that you don't find physical copies of.
It's a different animal for the sort of 8-bit micro, 16-bit computers. Honestly, it's a completely different animal to console stuff, and I think that's why it's kept my interest for so much longer because the
There's always something new.
You can't teach me anything new about it. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
and that's what makes it so interesting. What I was saying about Amiga prices, the way they fluctuate, because sometimes you just don't see them. I mean, honestly, I've got with the Psygnosis collection. So the very first Psygnosis game was a game called, oh my god, what a joke! Why can't I remember it? It was basically an Olympic game, and I can't believe I've forgotten the name of it. But there was people on. There was you just don't see it. Basically, it came out in 1986, and it's a garbage, absolutely awful game. But because it's so rare and it's part of the Psygnosis collection, you're looking at £400-500 to buy it.
Oh wow!
Do you know what I mean? And I just don't see you getting that with console stuff. You usually find. Don't get me wrong. I know there's obscure stuff, but I don't know.
It's normally the bad stuff that's worth so much. And that's normally the way it works with console stuff. You know, if you've got a game that's bad, it'll be worth a lot.
Yeah.
I also find just the ceremony of the 8-bit computers and 16-bit computers just so much like I'm a very like the tactileness of it. So I've spoken about this before. Even turning on some of these computers with the rocker switches on the side, typing in the commands to load your game, the load. I don't even mind that games take time to load because often, especially on Commodore 64, you've got the ocean loader music playing or something else is going on. On Amiga games, you've got like games playing whilst you're loading games and stuff like this. There's just so many little things. The whole ceremony of using these machines, I just genuinely find enjoyable rather than plugging in a cart, turning it on, the game's instantly there, and I'm playing it. I get it that for some people it was going to be really nice convenience, but I just generally really enjoy interacting with these machines, and that for me is as big a part as just playing the games. It's why I've got the Amiga Mini sat there. It's sat there for months. It's probably got a layer of dust on it because I get even though I can play Amiga games on it, I get no joy from using it. Like there's no connection to it. I don't feel anything when I pick it up. So where the Amiga 1200 is in front of me here, it goes on almost every day,
No, it's a fantastic console. I mean, I'm not trying to slag the console stuff because I love it. I love my Mega Drive. I love my Super Nintendo. Like when I think about the shooters that were on the Mega Drive, they piss all over the Amiga's shooters. Like all day. Do you know what I mean? They do. Like there's no two ways about it. I think I just find the collecting part of it, the collecting side of it, and the watching YouTube side of it is much more interesting for the computers than the consoles because I just find it's just all almost been done. Do you know what I mean?
Everyone does the consoles. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, even when I started this stream up, I remember quite a few people at the time going, "Oh, that's a really good idea. Not many people do that," you know, because no one was really doing a micro stream. I mean, there might be now, but yeah.
So back on topic, hidden gems, Lee. What have you got for us?
I already said one, I think, didn't I? Banshee was one I said because although people know it now, I didn't feel they did really back in the day because I didn't. The other one was that racing one. That was all I could come up with, really. I mean, another game that's known, but it seems to be difficult to find, at least it was when I last looked, is Dynamite Ducks on the Amiga.
It's not very good. I wouldn't have said it was that. I wouldn't see. Trouble is, because I've had these games for so long, I haven't really been looking for them for the last sort of 3, 4, 5 years. I don't remember it being hard to find. It's not very good though, really.
Good to hear, mate.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, good to know, Lee. Nice.
Happy days.
Now get your ass on the stream.
Yeah. Playing Workbench games.
I know it's not a hidden gem, but to me it felt like it was. But is Fury of the Furries? I think that's a really fantastic game. But I always thought it was hidden because I just didn't hear many people talk about it very often. But it appears all over the place when you look at people's YouTube channels and stuff when they talk about great games. But if you haven't played Fury of the Furries, it's a fantastic game and you should definitely play it.
I think I've seen you played out on a Monday Night Retro, haven't I, Martin?
I would have done. Yeah. It's a really good sort of puzzle platformer game that's got a bit of action. It's got a bit of everything in it, quite frankly. Swinging mechanics and shooting and all sorts to make your way through these platforms. Really fantastic. And again, great music, great graphics, works really well.
Yeah, I never minded that game. Never minded it.
Oh, hello. Lee's just said flood.
Yeah,
hidden gem.
Yeah, you don't see it much.
I'll be honest, I've not heard of that.
The only thing I remember about floods is, I remember the game, but the password protection isn't very intuitive. Basically, you get a big poster with it, and it asks you something that you have to sort of look on this poster for. And honestly, I think I tried about 3 times before I got into the actual game. It was really annoyed me.
That is another thing I miss with modern gaming is like I think the password protection and some things were just great fun. Like when you had to make pirate, you had to come up with a pirate in Monkey Island, but also like old school cheat systems as well, where you used to like enable infinite lives and things like that, and type in certain things. Even like you were saying, like with IK Plus being able to press a space bar to drop everyone's trousers, and just stupid stuff like that just doesn't exist in games that much anymore.
Do you remember when people used to crack the games and then they'd put things, you know, like when it go to the demo and it would say. It'd come up with something like "kiss my ass" or something, and then you know, I used to enjoy that as well, like the hidden messages that people would put. But you also had decoders doing that as well, didn't you? If you cracked it, there'd be codes in there, you know, basically telling you how much of a scumbag you was for cracking the game.
That's it.
Yeah. Kim Justice done a good video on that. Actually, I watched the video that she did on it, and that was good. All sorts of comments
stuff for the Amiga.
Yeah,
I know one of Chef's, I think it's his wife's favorite game is it Lionheart? Which I think
that's
a fantastic platformer. That's another one that I think is like £100 game. I think I saw that in Blackpool last year, and it was a very expensive game. It's a brilliant box, which if Steve gets out now again, I'll be very jealous. There we go.
There was a couple of areas on some of them. You had the eyes cut out. And it was on the sort of box below, but this one.
Oh, nice.
Isn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's nice. It's a nice game. It's actually part of a trilogy, with Amber Star and Amber Moon as well. So this is. I haven't actually got Amber Moon, but I've got Amber Star, which this was more of like an RPG, but it's the same developer, and it's almost
jealous.
Like all part of the story. It's all right. I find it plays a little bit clunky, but really nice graphics.
We were talking about influencing earlier. I'm definitely being influenced by your Amiga collection.
You don't get it, Steve. Right? He's going to be online, literally straight out this stream, buying all this.
I normally sit on people's streams buying stuff whilst I'm watching because I'm like, I'll get that. I'm going to get it now.
The prices are dropping, in my opinion. I think the prices are dropping. Good time to buy them, I think.
Yeah.
Right. Let's change topics because this one, I mean, we kind of skirted around it, I suppose, but favorite Amiga game of all time.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's a tricky one, I know.
Of all time.
Yeah.
That's a nigh impossible question to answer.
I think I've got to go with the one I played with my uncle all the time, which is Beneath a Still Sky. I think I've got to go with that, you know. Because, I mean, I've even bought the sequel for the Switch, which I haven't played yet. I might bang that on this week, actually. I need to play that.
If I went with games that I played the like Frontier Elite 2, like Elite 2 would be one of them, right? I played that game, and that's a game that's huge. You can play it forever, basically, and do like they talk about games today, like Starfield and No Man's Sky and stuff like that. Like that's not new. Elite 2 was doing this back in the 90s, flying to planets and being in a mercenary or building a cargo ship and taking stuff around the galaxy and buying and selling and being a pirate and all these things. So I think Elite 2 is an amazing game that I played, but I probably would struggle to play it today. Games I can still play. I mean, to me, again, IK Plus, I can play it all the time. Cannon Fodder, I can play all the time. But to pick a favorite, man, that's a. I'm gonna pass to you, Steve. What I think about what my favorite game of all time is.
I've got to be boring. I mean, my most popular video on YouTube was my top 25 Amiga games, and I put SWAS as number one. I couldn't look past that. I put months into that game. Do you know what I mean? I can't look past it. Don't get me wrong. There's other games I would put on that tier as well. I mean, I really like Pinball Dreams, like IK Plus. Yeah. I believe I put Token 2 as the second game on that list, as number 2. I believe Super Frog was quite high. Really like Super Frog. I thought it was a fantastic platformer. But I can't look past SWAS. Like I can't say another game. It's really boring, I know, but I can't look past it.
Well, the thing for me is, I mean, it's the same sort of thing as why I've picked mine the way I have, because it's the one you put the most time into and the memories that are attached to it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and that's why it was an easy choice for me.
It's so I must do it. I've never done one. I don't do videos that are like top 10s and that, because it's so weird how mine would be so different. So, for instance, another game that I think is amazing that I played hundreds of hours of is B-17 Flying Fortress. If you've not played that. That's the Memphis Belle.
A lot of people say that game.
Yeah. It was so good because you can do like proper you can play in real time. You can fly from the UK to Germany, do a bombing run, and then fly back, and you can do it all in real time. You can go through the escort missions, being shot at from flak. You can play, I think, like 9 positions or different. You can be in the ball turret, the tower turret, the side turrets, all over that plane, and the amount of depth in it is amazing. And that would be up there again.
But I think I'd also. Would you say it's aged well? Because I mean, I remember when I was doing that vid. I know a lot of sort of toppers get frowned upon on YouTube, and if I'm completely honest, I wouldn't care what anyone thinks, because making that video, because I captured all my own footage, I got to play all the games.
Yeah,
it's the best video I've ever made. It's the most fun I've ever had making a video. I wasn't even in it. I literally just took the game footage. Probably the longest video I've ever made, because I put a game on and play it for an hour just to get like 20 seconds of footage. But I was trying to make it as games, as I say, games that have aged well, because don't get me wrong, like I say, a lot of them simulators like Flying Fortress that I knew of back in the day, but far too complicated for me. A young SiniSteve, like I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I was just too young. So to go back to that now, would it have aged well? I mean, that's my question to you. Do you think?
Yeah, so I think. I mean, obviously the ship the aircraft management and all of that, I think is aged perfectly fine, because that's all done with a graphical interface rather than 3D rendering, which is obviously what the ground and everything else is done up by. So I think if you can get past that, then I think it has aged pretty damn well, because a lot of it is still, managing what's going on in the aircraft, casualties, moving people around, manning different turrets depending on where you're being attacked from. It's just the actual outside world graphics will be very, those not very textured and the rest of it, right? But I mean, I need to do this. I don't ever do top 10 or top 25 videos, because I always feel like, they've been done by everybody, so why would you watch mine? Because why would you watch someone else's?
It's for you, though. It's personal, isn't it? It's a personal thing.
Yeah.
And I'll probably say your subs would like to see it, because I think it's a very personal thing, and And as I say, if
Yeah.
you're putting games in where you're not just obviously going on Lemon Amiga and taking the top 25 rated game. Do you know what I mean? Because I mean, don't get me wrong, I got a bit of stick from our one of, oh my god, I can't believe Monkey Island's not in there. Like, why would I put Monkey Island in my top 25?
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't like point and click. I've never been involved, like, never got into point and clicks. Do you know what I mean? I'm not gonna. And yeah, it's I enjoy doing it, and people I watch, I like seeing that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean? I like, because the thing is, if you were literally just taking the top 25 Lemon Amiga games, I would have heard of them all. I'd know them all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I need to think of it differently, because like I say, I've never done it for Commodore 64 or SNES or
Well,
Amiga,
the thing is, at the end of the day, people are invested in you as the person, not you know. So it doesn't matter if you're doing something that someone else is doing or has done. They want to see you.
You've inspired me to do it. I will do it. Incoming video, everybody. It might take me a little while to do it.
Let's be honest, right? Everything that anyone does on YouTube these days has been done already. But it's how you do it, isn't it? And it's you that people are invested in. So, I mean, I did a video a couple of weeks back, which was top 10 horror movies according to IMDb. That's probably been done several hundred times. But, you know, and what I got from that when I did it was then people went, well, now we want to know your top 10.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. Well, this is a pledge to everyone. I will definitely do one. And see, I think that's why I enjoy the stream I do on a Monday night called Monday Night Retro. The reason why I enjoy doing it is because I actually physically sit down and play the game. It forces me to actually play the games. And I guess with doing a top 10 25, I wouldn't just go. I'm not a fan of just using someone else's capture. Like I actually want to go and play the game and capture myself playing it. So in a way, it's a really. I'm sure you did enjoy making it, because obviously you got to play 25 games at the end of the day that you really enjoy playing.
And I basically played it as I have to own the game to include it.
Yeah.
And I mean, the video must be, I don't know, 3-4 years old, so it's quite old now. And I probably wouldn't revisit it, but if I was, I'd definitely change my mind about a few. But yeah, just I say, it's one of the funniest videos I ever made, and as I say, don't get me wrong, it's not a topic I particularly search for, but if it's a YouTuber that I'm subscribed to, I'd watch it all day long to see what as I say, what I would sort of, like, half of them I'd say are my friends, you know what I mean, and see what they're actually playing and what they actually liked.
Yeah.
So no one else is doing swap shop on the Tuesday. Oh yeah, he had to get that in, didn't he?
But I think we quickly discovered that it's very hard to pick a favorite game, because there are just so many just great games on the system.
Well, okay. So how about this, right? Because I know you've got a few of these, Martin. I know there's not a lot. We normally do this as an ending topic, but I'm going to do it as a quick one because I know there's not a lot on it. But homebrew on the Amiga, Martin. What you got?
I mean, I don't know much if Steve has much sort of involvement in this space, but to be honest, the Amiga homebrew scene is quite lackluster in my opinion. There may be areas I'm missing massively, but when I look at it compared to like Commodore 64 and Spectrum and other systems, which has got some extremely high quality games, there is homebrew on the Amiga, but it doesn't ever seem to hit that high mark. Like if I look at Commodore 64, you've got like the pinnacle is Sam's Journey, right? I think if anyone's seen Sam's Journey on the Commodore 64, if that game had come out in the late 80s, I think we'd have given Mario a run for his money, right? Like it's that good of a game. But when I look at the homebrew that's come out for the Amiga in the last few years, there hasn't been that game where I'm like, actually, that's as good as or is better than what's come out before. I picked up a couple. But this is literally, and I've looked, I really have looked. So you've got this one here called, I mean, it's a fantastic box. I will say that for them. It's Invinia, and this is like it's basically like an R-Type clone, but it's slower than R-Type. It doesn't have anywhere near the power-ups of R-Type. The variation in the music, it's nice, but it's no R-Type. But the box looks
It's a
lovely.
nice box, though, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a really nice. Is it lenticular? I don't know what you'd call that. Is that what it's called?
No, foil, because it's shiny, isn't it? That it's like the
Yeah,
comic
but it
covers.
kind of
like
like
a
has
foil.
like changing. It sort of it just looks really cool. I mean, you know, they put loads of production into the actual box. I mean, this has got. It comes on, you know, disc, and you've got an SD card in there. There's a poster. There's all the bits. But unfortunately, the game is a bit like another one is Black Dawn Technomage, which this is a sequel to a game that I think originally came out in the original time of the Amiga.
Are these both from Cytronic?
No, this one is from the worst company to produce video games.
Right, Bitmap Soft. Yeah,
those guys.
Yeah,
the worst people ever.
We don't go a stream without mentioning them at some point.
sadly not in a positive light. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, again, this is a sort of dungeon crawler. But in a futuristic setting, so it's you're clicking to move around. This game's not too bad.
Yes, I remember that one. Yeah,
Rotator. This is a puzzle platformer again. Again, it relies very heavy on sort of movement physics. You're rotating, given the name of the game. You're this kind of spinning disc, and as you move left and right, your momentum carries you. And if you try and go the other direction, you've got to fight against that momentum. So a bit like Thrust in that respect.
I was going to say it's a bit like Thrust, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually really frustrating. You've got to have a good patience to play this game.
Yeah.
And then there's games like this, right? So this is Starquake on the Amiga. And if I loaded this game up now, you would think it was a Spectrum game. Honestly, it is.
Really?
It looks awful.
I mean, that was an 8-bit game anyway, wasn't it? I believe.
I think so. Yeah, I think it is either a remake or a. But I can't get it to focus. But it actually, the fuzzing's not helping because it's actually.
I can kind of see what you're saying. Yeah, it looks like coloured outlines to everything.
And I guess my point is, like, I haven't seen a game. There's a couple that I've seen out there that just push the Amiga. Like I've not seen the Sam's Journey of the Amiga. You know, the game where you're like, holy crap! Like and I assume that's because for Commodore 64 for Spectrum, the budget to build a high quality game is probably quite low because there's a lot less you need to put into it. There's a lot less graphics, there's a lot less size of game, and then for the Amiga you probably need fairly deepish pockets to build a high quality game. I don't know, but unless anyone else in the chat or anyone else knows, I haven't seen that just next level of game coming out for the Amiga.
I'll tell you a game I like on the Amiga, and that's Dragon's Temple.
Yes, so that's I can't think of his name, but he's the only person that I would say is pushing out. I won't say the only person because that's not fair, but he's pushing out some really polished games. It's something Geezer, isn't it?
Geezer Games.
Geezer Games.
Geezer Games.
Yeah.
And
that kind of reminds you that game of like a more advanced version of Kung Fu Master.
Kung Fu, yeah. And he's done Rygar. There's a top-down racer as well. Oh yeah, that's it. There you go.
I've got all there if you want to see them. It's
has he got a physical copy of it? Oh wow.
Yeah. That's Dragon's Temple.
Oh, hang on. Let's put you on solo. Let's have a look at that.
Again, I mean, I played a little bit of it. I'd say it is a spiritual successor to Kung Fu Master. Pretty good. It is pretty good. I mean, see, I love arcade games. That is my passion, and it also brought out Turbo Sprint, as you said earlier.
Somebody else mentioned that as well.
So this is like a more advanced version of Super Sprint and Championship Sprint. I mean, I own the arcade cabinet of Championship Sprint, and the fact you can play this 4-player with more advanced tracks plays really well. Obviously, you haven't got the steering wheels, but it does play well. Rygar is pretty much arcade perfect, but with extras.
Oh, okay.
So again, if you like Rygar, it's a really good game, a really good version of the game.
Nice.
And yeah, they look really nice. I mean, he's done a great job with the boxes. I mean, it's really, really high quality.
Yeah, they do look good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's not too much in there, but he does put little bits in some of the games. I know Turbo Sprint came with like a little car, but he also done again a pretty much
Oh, that's the beer edition. Yeah.
version of Bomb Jack. I mean, I've never got too immersed in Bomb Jack, but a lot of people love it. I mean, it won't be long.
Bomb Jack.
Won't be long before there's a bit of a competition going, a bit of a high score competition going on at an arcade meet, and I will get sucked in because I'm pretty competitive.
The intro music to this stream is Bomb Jack, just so you know.
Yeah, I did. So yeah, really, I mean, they're the only 4 homebrew versions I believe I own physical.
Yeah,
but I do agree, Martin. I mean, I love when because basically they use like arcade code and port it that way. So I've seen a lot of Vectrex homebrew doing the same, and it does interest me. I like seeing that sort of thing. So you just sort of think, if that was back in the day, I mean, if Rygar got a home port, perfect arcade port back in the day, I would have loved it. And so it's interesting, but no, as I say, like going forward, it's one of those, something to really push it.
yeah.
Because I say these arcade games are all sort of mid to late 80s. Do you know what I mean? There was nothing really stopping that coming out.
And it also suffers a little bit. So if you go onto there's a website which I'm sure both of you know called itch.io, which has a lot of the homebrew scene on it. And you'll find loads of Amiga games on there, and a lot of them tend to be quite limited demos. Like maybe they're one or 3 or 4 levels, and you can download them as ADF files or LHA files and install them on your Amiga. But there don't seem to be many that make it to the physical, and where I could literally within seconds grab 50 to 60 physical 64 games. I've got them all over there, and it just seems like and again, I don't know if it's obviously more simple, or is the Amiga scene, because the copying of things are so prevalent, actually people aren't bothered about physical Amiga. Maybe that Steve talks to your point about the games coming down in price versus the old school tapes. Maybe there's something in that community that physical media is not, people aren't that fussed, and therefore
I think you've knocked hit the nail on the head with that. I mean, let's be honest, I think everyone had copied games back in the day. You look at most Amiga fans now, they don't have many games. I mean, I wouldn't have said there was many Amiga collectors, like actual collectors, and I think that's why it is a little bit niche. And obviously finding some of these games is pretty hard because they didn't really sell that well in the first place. So I do think that sort of, again, that Amiga scene, that demo scene, where it was all quite hacky, wasn't it? It was all I think the die-hard Amigans, they're not bothered about having a physical box for it. They just want to play the game. That's why the public domain sort of scene was so big as well. So I mean, how much of a market would there be? Probably wouldn't be too much of a market, and that's probably why you're not finding them sort of releases. Yeah.
Well, one thing's for sure, I think Geezer Games needs to keep doing what he's doing, because I mean, like I said, our Dragon's Temple, I thought that was really good. And I like some of the
more physical ones, because I know you can't buy them anymore. That's for a fact.
But again,
that's the problem. Yeah.
Without getting too sort of YouTube political, I don't know how much you know about that Graham, but I heard he had I think he had some sort of server. I don't know too much about. Well, I don't know too much about it. He's obviously a very clever guy. But I don't know if you guys know that George that was digging out a lot of big YouTubers and got taken off. Graham Cowie, I think, was letting him run his videos on his server or something like that. And I think a lot of people fell out of him over it. I've never got too involved. I'm not too bothered what anyone's doing. But I know that Graham, he was actually on the Amiga scene. There was people trying to sort of get him off of it. He was literally being rejected, going to shows to sell and show off his games. So you'll probably find why he's taken a bit of a back seat, which is a bit naughty. It's not very good for it, but
And also, it's a real shame because the amount of people out there that are probably coding Amiga games has got to be pretty brilliant slim. So if we keep ejecting people like this out, the scene's gonna just dry up, right?
I don't think that's the only reason either. I think somebody, if I remember right, when he brought out that game physical, Dragon's Temple, didn't someone stick it straight up as a free download, like literally within an hour of it releasing or something?
I didn't hear about that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
It's surprising, right? Yeah.
If I remember right, because I'm sure OSG was telling me about it, because you know our OSG is, he don't mince his words, and I remember him referring to some dickheads put it online for free or something. You know, that was his exact words.
Well, I'm afraid that's the internet age. Is that there isn't anything you can't eventually find on the internet, is there? So
which is a shame because obviously it does. Like, why would you put that much time and effort into it just to not earn anything out of it?
Yeah.
No, it's not good.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, we've been going over 2 hours, guys. So I think we'll wrap it up there.
That's mental.
It goes quick, doesn't it?
That's big brother. Gutted.
It's like we done a what was it we did? A horror special, like movie special the other night. It was me, Chef, and Scott, Sega Zombie. We was meant to do about 2 hours. By the time we noticed, we was already 2.5 hours.
That's mental.
Yeah, so we wrapped it up probably about 15 minutes after that, but we could have gone longer easily. But that one, the chat was going mental. It was difficult to keep up, and I think that's why we lost time, because there were so many good comments and that coming up in the chat as well.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's more topic we could talk about here. Right? I get very chatty about this stuff because I just love it. So
Yeah.
Great.
I could just sit here and go through Steve's shelves on his left-hand side there. And talk about it.
I'm surrounded. I'm absolutely surrounded, and I've got even more in the loft. I've run out of room. It's nuts.
I've got plenty of room in here, mate. If you want to say.
Honestly, I'll bring them out. You can't keep them, but if you want to borrow them, honestly, do me a favour.
So Amiga Old School's just he gave away the full games of Dragon's Temple over the summer. Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I did actually spot that. I didn't do it. So he did it. I think there was something went on for some Amiga show that he was meant to be at, and I think what you pointed out there, Stevie, there was an issue. I don't know. I'm not even going to pretend I know what the issues are, but I did see he posted that for like an hour or something, that when he was meant to be at the show, he then made the game available to download or something, and just to get the word out there. So that's great. But I will definitely would like to pick them up physically at some point, because I just love having them physically. It's just
I'm sure I've got his email address. I mean, I might, if you want me to email him, see if he's got any laying around.
Yeah,
they are cool. Yeah. Not only are they the see, some of these are AGA, but you've also got the CD32 discs in there as well.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
One laying around.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, they're really. I mean, this one's got the disc in there, and he chucked a little car in there. It's. Do you know what I mean?
That's cool.
Yeah, love it. So you got the disc. Oh, I'm going to drop everything everywhere. He's done a really good job with them. Like,
they're not really well presented.
And say they're good games. I mean, I like them. So obviously, I like the original arcade games. So it's right up my street. If I'm honest, if somebody brought out, I don't know, sort of an amazing point and click, it will just go straight over my head. It's the sort of stuff I live for. So I'm well happy with it. But there's not enough of it. Not enough.
Yeah, shame. Right, okay. So let's get the outro, because I have to click a few things. Oh, here we go. Look, I bet it's Chef. You always got to get a comment in. Oh no, it was Skilly. I will let it go. He said awesome stream, guys. I'll let that go.
Cheers, buddy.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Right, okay. So on here, we always have a tradition of doing a dodgy game show wave at the end. So if we all wave, and then I'll let the outro. See you later, guys. Thanks for watching.
Bye. Amiga.